Welcome back, everybody, to yet another show here on the O'Shea Vlogcast channel. I know y'all been waiting for a professional podcast. As I like to say, I was just getting in today from Brazil, and I was going to go to sleep because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But now I'm getting adjusted back to Polish time, and I was talking to my good brother and dear friend LAR Movement, the master content creator himself. And we are going to weigh in a little bit later on the response to Kanye West was slavery a choice. Before we kind of get into it, let me introduce my partner in crime here, one half of the Brother Peel, or 2/3 of it. You guys know him, LAR Move. What's going on, player?
Good evening.
Good
Just
evening.
chilling. You know, it's just time to get it done, bro.
Time to get it done. I know we would have had a little bit more punch in the game if we could, had we did it earlier. And but unfortunately, I was out of town and unable to really to get my grasp on the situation. Let me give a shout out to Max City Limits radio show. He did a really thorough 16-minute review on that. I've seen a lot of people, Hassan Campbell. So shout out to you, fam. I do follow your channel. You were very entertaining. I saw his take on it. He had a very big video on the situation and certain other people's videos. But let's kind of start with the topic itself, LAR. Kanye West made this on a TMZ. What's that? A TMZ interview, something like that, or
Yeah, he was at TMZ.
Okay. And so what happened after that?
Oh, it went viral and everybody got on him, pretty much. It wasn't playing with Kanye. I think, but I do want to say it was kind of a setup too, because I think the day before, a couple of days before, he released a song that he had with T.I.
Okay.
Basically, kind of playing off the same type stuff that he was doing on TMZ. So, yeah, it was interesting to say the least.
Okay, interesting. Shout out to Sub-Zero3639. What up, Pauline? It's good to see everybody back. I know Sub-Zero wants to get in on a power and strategy. I will. Let me and him open up the show, and we'll send you guys a link. So we'll make it a little bit of open show if LAR Movement's okay with you. It's okay to have guests.
You know everything good with me. This you.
All right. He'd be like, nah, fuck y'all. No, I'd be like, what? But anyways, no, let's kind of get into it. So before this particular statement comes to play, there was some. I think the clip that you played me. Kanye West was talking about some liposuction and some drug use, right?
Right. He was on opioids and he got off, and that's when he went to the hospital a couple years ago.
Okay.
In the liposuction was because he wanted to still look appealing for his fans. So that's what he said right before, I think, a little bit before they got into the conversation about slavery. So it was like, oh man.
All right, let's talk about this. And shout out to Sub-Zero. I'm sending you the link for a little bit later on. And my brother Spectre put my 2 cents in from Salem Town. Thank you so much. And again, Eric P, what up? Caesar, welcome back. It's good to see you. Tony Mesa, you more than welcome also. Let's kind of go back to, if you remember, shout out to Paulina. What's up, baby? Good to see you. Channel Rocks. This particular brother made a statement about what's this? She's a popular conservative. Her name is Candace. You know her last name is Candace.
I think it's Parker.
Owens. Her name. Candace Parker's a basketball player, right? Okay. So Kanye is kind of, he's kind of not removed from the statement that he likes Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens, I don't know her personally. My brother Brandon Tatum, I'm a black conservative, so Brandon Tatum has had Candace Owens on his platform before. Candace Owens, I think once Kanye West put his support behind Candace Owens, she's a black, young, very attractive conservative. A lot of people will call her a coon. Supposedly she's interracially dates like white men exclusively. She has a lot to say about the black community and things of this nature. So he kind of struck a chord. He lost supposedly 9 million Twitter followers when he said he was endorsing Candace Owens. That was already a strike with black people. Then he comes back with this. Are black people 400 years slavery's a choice? Now I heard what Anthony Brian Logan had to say. not too shocked by what Anthony Brian Logan had to say, but that's another story. Let's talk about Black conservatives, because I keep hearing this LAR movement. A lot of times people say, well, when Black conservatives want to have their own mind outside of the quote unquote Democratic plantation, people tend to want to judge Black conservatives. That's important. It's number one. Do you think is Kanye West really a conservative? Do you think?
No, I think Kanye West is all over the place. I can't see Kanye West has always been all over the place. He's never like had a particular thing. Like when his mood changed and his feelings change, he on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So no.
In fact, Anthony Brian Logan is here. Anthony Brian Logan, you're more than welcome to come on and explain your side of the story. So Kanye West is definitely not a conservative. He's more or less than anything. He's fucking crazy. This is what it is. Like Kanye West, something is wrong with him. I think I'm not saying that what he's saying isn't maybe valid, because even a wrong clock is twice a day. For me, I can't take nothing Kanye West says seriously.
I get you.
Because the fact that people can get even upset about, is Kanye West, is it what he's saying, is it worth Black people being offended by it, in your opinion?
No. The reason I say that is because it is.
Okay.
Kanye West has a history of saying something very intelligent, and then saying something very stupid. Like, so everybody, like, he's a genius. Yeah, but geniuses can say stupid stuff too. Okay. Like, people forget, like, this, we talking about Kanye. Mm-hmm. Kanye go from political stuff to talking about red shoes as if they coincide. You get what I'm saying? Like, we talking about Kanye. So no, like, I don't think it's all going to me. It's like a PR stunt going with an album. Okay. But let me backtrack a little bit about the conservative free thinking thing.
Right. Let's talk about that.
One of the things is, people, when you're conservative, you really got to take into consideration, you might just be speaking conservative talking points. So you know difference from somebody on a Democratic plantation regurgitating their talking points. Mm-hmm. So just because you're a conservative does not mean you're not regurgitating talking points and you're thinking freely. And I think, that's one of the things that even what Kanye said and other conservatives rode with it, it's not like they're thinking free on the conservative side. Mm-hmm. It's just different from liberal. Okay. Say something free thinking from the conservative side, see what happened. They're gonna be like, you're not a conservative.
This has happened. Definitely. Let me kind of talk about this real quick, right? Kanye West is from Chicago, right? And if you think about the history of Chicago and Black America, Chicago, Detroit, these are places that people came from Southern Jim Crow states, because these places offered in the North more opportunity, more job placement, and even places like Chicago, and you've lived there, from what I've been told, it's one of the most segregated cities in the United States, although it's in the North.
Yes, absolutely.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, it's you can understand racism very well if you live in Chicago.
Yes.
All this nuanced kumbaya, it's not like it used to be. Live in Chicago, you figure it out real fast. So yeah.
Let me ask you this. As African American, we are both African Americans. Most of us who listen to this podcast are African Americans. I just came back from Brazil, and their history of slavery and being mistreated by the system is even much worse than us by the Portuguese. We'll talk about that in the podcast. When we say that slavery is a choice, what does that mean to you? And do you think that statement is applicable?
The fact that we have to explain partially what we thought he meant means he said it all fucked up.
Okay.
That's the first thing. You know, the 400 years thing, he's basically talking up to now.
Okay.
So was slavery a choice from bondage? No. Were people have mental blocks or mentally enslaved at the particular point right now? Yes, because we talk about stuff like that. We talk about, you know, self-hate issues and thinking that the white man's ice is colder. That's a mental part of it. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about the brutality of slavery, no. And that lacks historical context because it's not like people didn't rebel on a regular basis and revolt on a regular basis.
Yes, you're right. That's a good point there. Let's stop right there. Let me just read a comment from Paulina. Most Southern families migrated to the Midwest for the manufacturing facilities. Most of the families worked plantations and had the brawn. This is absolutely true. Let's talk about these because people act like a lot of slaves didn't try to rebel. They were just unsuccessful. Let's talk about that real quick and how important that is.
I mean, that's the part of history that we seem to forget.
Mm-hmm.
If where there was slavery, there was revolts. There is no colonial marines without, like, just regular revolts didn't just start with Nat Turner. There were a whole lot of them.
Okay.
People forget to the point where that was part of the prerequisite of the Civil Wars because it was the revolts, so many revolts. But people don't think about that. People don't think about the colonial marines, the slaves who escaped, who went and fought for the British to get freedom that way. People don't think about,
or the Confederate Army also, or in the Union Army that way too.
The Union Army also, right?
Yes. Okay.
People don't think about the ones that moved to Florida, that escaped, revolted, and moved to Florida and joined the Spanish Army because Florida was like a free spot at the time. People forget about people like John Horse. People forget about the blacks that went to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Like the Black Guerrero and all that other stuff. Gaspar Yanga, which is part of the actual kickoff for Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day. But because we don't think of our own history, people don't think about the history of cowboys. You know, because we don't think about how many people fought against it that were under it. People don't think about the Negro spirituals when they reference those as escape songs. Like the nuance of it is ridiculous that we being black, we don't bring up because we should know better. We weren't just sitting here just getting whipped and beaten and killed and just it wasn't like that.
Okay, no, those are very good points. And Tony, I sent you a link if you're interested in coming on. Now Anthony Brian Logan, he was here, and I heard a little bit of his video. Not much I can remember, but I think that he was advocating something similar to what Max City was saying, that yes, it was a choice. And let's talk about that because a lot of black people have some they have a hard time processing this. Now, I remember like in this movie Black Panther, Killmonger had a very powerful scene. And I'm gonna send the link here. Anthony Brown Logan. Killmonger said, because T'Challa was gonna like actually let him live. He could heal him. He said, "No, I'd rather die, just like my ancestors who jumped, across the seas over the boat." There was a gospel song that said, "And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave." That was that was a gospel song. Thank you for touching. Has been waiting on your input here for your curls and collard green sandwiches. Thank you so much. Minutes before midnight. And power. Okay, so we're gonna have so let's talk about that. I'm gonna get into this. Is the choice is slavery a choice? Because you can jump if a black person coming from Africa, and also your own blacks are selling you into these things. Now, I want to make the point here. The blacks who were selling other blacks into what you would consider slavery at this particular point, there was not they didn't look at these blacks as the same people. Similar to when whites were fighting in World War II, the French were not looking at Italy saying, "Hey, me and you are both white. it was France against Italy, fuck being white. Germany against Belgium, against Poland, against whoever, against Britain. This is not about we are the same people. We're not the same people. It wasn't until after the European Union was founded that they were all white at that point. But we got to also look at blacks at this particular point. They were not looking at each other as the same people. They were looking at people as occupying the same space. They had been feuding for some times, and they were just trying to get rid of those people to occupy those resources. So it's not until after, the fact that we kind of look at people from a Pan-African aspect. But let me ask you this, LAR. Do black people have a choice in this time to be slaves? Was it a choice? Time. I mean, did they have options, even if those options weren't good?
I mean, when they figured it out, they may have had options, but you can't, even the people that jumped off the boats,
okay,
you had to get unchained to do that. Like, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? You had to actually get unchained to do that. So that's the problem. Now, I will say this about the statement when people are making like it's a choice. One of the biggest problems for me just watching people say this, even with Kanye saying it in a sense, the people who say it was a choice are normally people who wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. So I don't understand why they saying it's a choice, because if they had the choice, they wouldn't do anything, because it looks like they're the type of people who don't do anything there. Now, even with Kanye, when you look deeper into that interview, all of a sudden he went from slavery is a choice to we got to love everybody. I love you, man. I love you. We got to try love. Hate hasn't worked. Try love. That's the type of shit that kept people in bondage.
Okay.
That double-minded, it's a choice, but let me give you a hug because I think that'll work.
Okay.
So, I mean, you have options, but what are your options? They go like literally, what are your options? If you can get yourself free on a boat, you could jump. If you chain, you riding it out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you get here, it's just like jail. You're gonna pretty much be isolated, in groups, the same way they do when they lock you up. 10 cops, one dude.
Mm-hmm.
Your plan is not gonna really work that well. Mm-hmm. So it was just a numbers game. Like, we can't look at slavery of the past with our ideology of today. I mean, I think that's wrong.
Let me ask you this before we get to ABL. Black people, I would say, are still suffering from some sort of mental slavery. I saw this, I mean, when I was in Brazil last week, just yesterday, you see the same issues that we would have as people, that we suffer from, if not worse there. I think is just absolutely worse there, the way that these blacks are in certain aspects. Do you think that black people are mentally enslaved, are mentally self-defeated, and they are stuck in certain places that they can get themselves out of, but they don't want to?
I think mentally we do have those issues. I think,
okay.
You can put that on Christianity. You can put that on the American ideology. You can put that on superiority or inferiority complexes that came along. That type of stuff, yeah, that keeps us mentally out. Or the lack of confidence, that definitely, that's definitely a form of mental slavery, because you mentally keeping yourself back. That has nothing to do with kind of like post-traumatic stress. You can physically do everything, but your mind won't let you get over the hump.
Okay. So we have we got two people here. Actually, everybody on this panel won some type of award on the award polls. Anthony Brian Logan, even though show the plaque, dog. Show them the plaque, Anthony Brian Logan.
They got a plaque right there. And this is official whistle. Real wood. This ain't no cheap stuff, man. Shout out to O'Shea for coming through with their real stuff. There you go.
Okay. All right. So y'all know, like, I ain't lying. He got something better than I got. And so shout out to Anthony Brian Logan for winning the political YouTube channel of the year. I got my brother Tony Maceo, who was giving ABL a lot of problems the last time we was on. Tony Maceo, man, is a very, 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 very bright guy, man. He was he had you on the ropes a little bit, man. So you got to come with it because the dude is he's a pretty bright guy, brother. So he, you know what I'm saying? You sure you want to do this tonight? Because he's right there, player.
Man, it's all good. I ain't never scared.
Okay, because you gonna put you on the ropes tonight. So ABL, let me ask you this, man. Do you feel that slavery was a choice for black people?
Well, I think at a certain point it was, but not always. Is that my microphone messing up?
No,
or am I good?
Okay. Good.
Okay. Now, at a certain point, it was. Now, I'm not going to say it was always a choice. I'm not going to say that institution of slavery in general was a choice, because you had people that were put on the ship against their will.
Oh, that's Tony. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, Tony.
Real quick. Okay, go ahead, ABL.
People that were put on the ship against their will, and they had no choice but to be there. But once you get to the Americas, once you're there for 100 years, 200 years, and in certain towns in the South, you outnumber the white population 10 to 1. Mm-hmm. What are we doing at that point? Are we there because we're forced to be, or are we there by choice? And not only do you outnumber the white population in general, not just the slave owners or the slave catchers, you outlaw the white people 10 to 1. Not only that, but you also outnumber the actual slave owners and those who would come get you by much more than that. Thomas Jefferson had 600 slaves. How is that possible for one man to have 600 slaves and then they all stay? Where's the revolts? Now, some people would say, well, there were revolts and there were uprisings, but how did slavery last from 1618 thereabouts to 1865 as an institution? How did that happen if there was no choices being made to stay on the plantation in mass?
Guns.
Okay, but like I said, if you outnumber a people 10 to 1, and the people that can actually catch you that are going to be out there enforcing it with guns, you outnumber them even more, then you know what's going on.
You counting, you can count grown men. But you counting like women, teenagers, and children too in the 10 to 1, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm counting women and teenagers and children and the white population as well. So the numbers they still are the same. I'm not comparing all of black people to just white men. I'm comparing all of black people to all of white people. So the numbers are still the same, even if you're only speaking about men who were able to fight.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna let Tony. Let's let Tony respond. Tony, go ahead. Let's respond. Let Tony respond right now. We'll keep it diplomatic.
That is absolutely not true.
Okay.
They did not outnumber that population. That is absolutely not true. I'll give you one case in particular: the German Rising, the German Uprising, right there on the German coast in Louisiana. There were only 1,700. Total slaves in that area, up against 7,000 whites. 7,000 whites. In all of those slave revolts, the slaves were not in the majority. That is not true.
No, I said certain towns in the South, that was the ratio. I didn't say everywhere. I said certain towns.
There was not one town in the South where the slaves outnumbered the population.
Yes, of course there were.
Not
of course there were.
One.
Yes, there were.
One town where the entire slave population outnumbered the entire colonial population of the state, because the slaves were dispersed over 13 colonies, as well as in the North. And then, like LAR said, you also had the state militia, and you had the organized slave patrols and the slave.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Virginia. Let me tell you something about Virginia, where I come from. In Virginia right now, you got cities where the blacks outnumber the whites.
You're talking about now. We're talking.
I'm talking about big cities. So you think there was never a time where the blacks outnumbered the whites?
You're trying to compare now to over 300 years ago.
No. Listen, you got to understand. You got to understand where I'm coming from.
Okay, hold on, guys. Let's let one. Go ahead, ABL, and then we'll let you respond. Go ahead.
In the state of Virginia, blacks are, like I say, probably the number 2 or 3 minority behind whites and Hispanics probably. But there are certain places where we are the majority. Big cities, Norfolk, Virginia, I think we probably maybe about 45%. Portsmouth, Virginia, we're 55%, and that's a town of over 100,000 people. It's a city. So there were places like that back in the day, towns where the blacks outnumbered the whites. That's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying that there was the case. Oh, wait. I'm not done. I'm not saying it was the case for the entire state or for the entire nation, but for certain towns, absolutely. Absolutely.
There were no towns where the majority of the population were outnumbered.
You're incorrect. You're incorrect.
No, you're incorrect. If you take a little trip down to this thing called the Library of Congress, if you live near Norfolk State University, go to the library, look up the slave records, look up the almanac, and look at the populations. Look at the particular populations of those plantations, and you will see a very small number of slaves compared to the people of that population. Compared to the people of that population. And then you also have to calculate that not every slave is of adulthood. They haven't reached the age of what we call majority. So in that number, you have women, you have children, you have, other older people that probably could fight but didn't fight or had no skills. And then you also have to take into consideration that they didn't have military training. Now, since you talk about Virginia, sir, are you familiar with Gabriel Prosser's conspiracy of 1800? That happened right there in Virginia. How many people were involved in the same places that you're talking about? How many people were involved in that revolt?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, I'll tell you. 53 slaves. 53 slaves against an entire population, sir. It is still pretty good odds. In the Nat Turner Rebellion, they were outnumbered. In the Charles DeLande Rebellion of 1811 in South Carolina, they were outnumbered. In the Rebellion of New York City in 1734, in New York City, they were outnumbered.
Okay.
In every particular instance,
of a rebellion. Rebellion is different.
Let him finish.
No. There were 250 slave rebellions. Okay. There were over 250 slave rebellions in the colonies. In each one of those rebellions, the slaves fought nobly, but they were ultimately defeated. And in every one of those 250 rebellions, not one of them, in the 250 documented slave rebellions, not one of them were an instance where the slaves outnumbered the population. Not one of them. And if you have one, you need to put it up because I want to see it. Otherwise, the facts say that you are incorrect.
All right. Now, since you asked me to put up something from now, I'm not talking about slave rebellions. I'm talking about what I said in the beginning, which is in certain places in the South, blacks outnumbered the whites. Now, you see on the screen before you, JacksonFreePress.com. In 1860, Hinds County, slaves outnumbered whites nearly 3-1. This is in an entire county. You see it on the screen before you, don't you? Wait.
Yes, I see it.
Wait.
Hold on, Tony.
Go ahead.
Wait, you see it on the screen before you, don't you?
Yeah, I see it.
Now, I'm going to read it. So in case people are just listening to it, they're not watching the screen. According to a U.S. Census data, the 1860 Hinds County population included 8,940 whites, 36 free colored, and 22,363 slaves. So I'll prove my point. There were some places in the South where the blacks outnumbered the whites. So let's just put that to bed and move on.
Okay, I'll give you that. They outnumbered the whites. I'm speaking of rebellions.
But I ain't saying nothing about that. I ain't saying nothing about that. I said I was talking about
the name of the topic. I didn't say nothing about that. They had a choice, right?
I didn't say nothing about rebellion. I said nothing about that. You said that, sir.
Okay, hold on one second, guys. Let me just do this because somebody dropped a super chat on this one. This is getting interesting. I knew we was going to get some good material. Shout out to Sujin Kang, $2. My man Aunt James, $2 been waiting for this one. Now y'all niggas ain't seen me in a week. Y'all niggas know how we do over here. It's some intellectual shit, but do not make me get my niggatry on, as they say at the Max City Limit podcast. Y'all like the video and hit the super chat button. Put some empty condom wrappers in there if you ain't got no money. You know how we do over here. And another brother said, what he had as soul. Dr. Claude Anderson said essentially the same thing Kanye said in the Rock Newman interview on YouTube at the 34 minute, 49 minute mark. So 339 watching, guys. Likes up on here, guys. Good to see you brothers again. And I'm just coming back in from the Brazil today. So I'm just been here maybe like 4 hours. Let's go to LAR real quick. LAR moving on to weigh on something, and we'll go back to you guys real quick. Go ahead, LAR.
Okay. The first thing I'm gonna say is this. Because I'm gonna do it. What about the white people do it too? I just gotta be contrary.
Okay.
So when we make this argument about it's a choice, I just want people to be consistent and tell me which part of the Holocaust was a choice for Jews. That's all I want you to be consistent with. Now, on the other part, what ABL just said, can we just stop acting like the black people in 1860 had like iPhones and Facebook, and they had a bunch of friends like, yo, in this whole county, we outnumber them. Look, I'm a friend request, Jimbo over there. Hell yeah, we could take that shit over. We got to get the guns. I'm gonna use my Google Maps app to get through the forest, and we're gonna kill this shit. Like, that's what I mean about using our technology today. We talking in air-conditioned times with the internet. Somebody, even in that county, it's a county full of people. They didn't say where the people were in the demographic of how many was in each place. They didn't say how many men, women, and children there were. They didn't say how many guns that they had in the certain areas. Yeah, they could have statistically, they can outnumber you 3-1. But if it's 30 people, if it's 20 people with guns on a plantation and 100 slaves, I'm pretty sure I know who's gonna win the gunfight. That's the weird part about that. I'm done.
Okay,
but that's the killing part of the history. In each one of those slave revolts, what's the first thing that they were trying to secure? Was weapons. That's the first thing that they were going for. In the Stone Nose Rebellion, they attempted to raid several of the armories. In the German uprising, they attempted to invade the armories. Nat Turner's rebellion, they intended to invade the armories. Okay. So the concept that there's this massive number of people, the argument goes like this. It was a choice because they had the numbers. And if they had the numbers, they would have won. Now, some people proceeded. Revolts are always small. That's another thing. Any revolt, any situation where people transform society, it's always a small number of people. And then what happens is as that revolt progresses, more people join that rebellion. Now, in the cases of the uprisings were always small in number. And as LAR astutely pointed out, not all of those people were on that damn plantation at the same time. If you're talking about a county, you're not talking about one plantation. You're talking about a group of people dispersed over a number of plantations. And yes, LAR hit the mark again. Communication is the key. That was one of the weaknesses of the revolt. Now, to come back to the story at hand, was it a choice? Yes, it was a choice, but I propose that we're asking the wrong question. That's what I put in my podcast. The question is not whether it was a choice. The question is whether everyone chose slavery. And according to the record of over 250 revolts, the masses of the community in the colonial periods did not choose slavery. A significant number of revolts occurred, and no one has even discussed what happened during Reconstruction. No one has ever discussed what has happened through Jim Crow. No one has ever discussed the fact that black people continue, the black community continue to fight and to struggle for their liberty. Now, they chose many means to do it. They chose many ways to do it, but they struggled for their liberation. They struggled for their freedom continuously. It is only in the last 30 years that we could talk about halfway giving up the struggle or halfway making a choice. But enslaved Africans struggled from the time they got to these shores right on up to the 1970s. So when you ask, was it a choice? Yes, it was a choice, but not everybody made the choice. So the implication being that not everybody made the choice of slavery. And I would wager that not even 50% of the community in a given location. I mean, what else was runaways? What else were the slavery, the Slave Fugitive Acts of 1840 and 1850 if everybody made that choice? One particular instance, I'll give you something very quickly.
Okay.
The brother of Jefferson Davis, owned a plantation in Mound Bayou, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. One of his slave owners, one of his slave workers was a man by the name of Montgomery. If I recall correctly, Isaiah Montgomery. Isaiah Montgomery ran away from that damn plantation so many times. He whipped him, he beat him, he did everything except cut the motherfucker's foot off. And finally, Davis said, okay, fuck it, I give up. If I let you run this plantation, will you stop running away? And Montgomery's hustle instincts kicked in and his game face came on. He told him, he said, no. He said, but if you let me buy this plantation, I'll stay here. And he did that. He did just that. He bought that man's plantation with his own money, and they developed a vibrant community within Mound Bayou, Mississippi. It was one of the places that didn't have the kind of strife of the civil rights struggle. So my point in that story is, yes, you have a choice, but the real question is did everyone make that choice? And again, my position that that the majority of the black community did not make that position. And the people that were left are the people that were usually defeated due to the crushing of the revolts and rebellions.
Look, let me just weigh in on this real quick. It has nothing to do with slavery, but because I know what point Anthony Bryan Logan is making when it comes to this whole idea of the population is greater. But let's bring up this whole idea about India. When the British, which is, I know this is a different conversation, but it is relevant rather. When the Britain colonized India, for the British soldiers that were there, I think it was like for every British soldier, it was 1,000 Indian people that were there, or 100 or something like that. And yet, England, with its high military and high weaponry, even though it was 100, at least between 100 and 1,000 people for every British soldier that was in India, they were able to take the India's economy it was almost said that they couldn't even make a needle because they were that drained. And not only was England able to take India, it was able to divide it into Pakistan. So it was not only able to divide it with just a few soldiers. I mean, let's talk about the Belgium going into the Congo. Belgium is one of the smallest countries in Europe, and look what they did in the Congo. They had more people in the Congo, versus every Belgian soldier. Look at the Portuguese. Look what the Portuguese not only was able to conquer Brazil, the Portuguese had Angola and Brazil with less than 1 million people back in Portugal. Okay, and you look at the population of Brazil now, which is over 200 million. And you look at the population of Angola now. So, it goes to talk about if you have exceptional military strategy or weapons, and India did not divide itself. India got divided. I don't know why you're saying that. So if you look at that,
I mean, India, like they requested that they be divided because of it was a religious thing. So that was partly the people of India that wanted that.
Well, but the point is still is that whether they wanted it or not, they were in no position to make it happen by itself because the British ran them. The British had the pressure there, and they did it even though India outnumbered them because they had greater science. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but you know, you can even look at the British invasion of South Africa with the Zulus and look what they did there. They were outnumbered heavily, you know. So I just wanted to make that point. Somebody said, Young Link, he says, damn, Turney, you're an attorney. Very profound talking points, my dude. Shout out to you. Let's go ahead. Let's let Anthony Brian Logan weigh in on what he has to say. Go ahead, ABL.
Okay. My whole point was that there are places in the South where the slaves outnumbered the white people and most certainly the slaveholders. Like I said, Thomas Jefferson had 600 slaves. You want to talk about slaves being apart from each other, not having any music communication. That's not necessarily true as far as music communication. People were able to talk to each other a little bit, not necessarily like on your cell phone, but they're able to communicate a little bit. And then on the plantation, when you got 600 people with one actual slave master, I'm not saying he's the only one that's able to enforce any kind of rules, but 600 people, I mean, come on, what are we talking about? I think at a certain point, people say this life here is better than me trying to run away, trying to escape and then endangering my life, losing my family. A choice is made. I'm not saying it's a bad choice necessarily to stay with your family and not risk your life. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but it is a choice nonetheless. So I really don't understand why people are so upset at Kanye. Kanye was just talking, and he was also talking about the mental slavery, because not only did he clear it up afterwards on his Twitter, he also said it right there when he was talking about it. Instantly, right after that, he was saying, you know, it's a mental thing. People are still mentally enslaved. And if you are a mental slave nowadays in 2018 in the information age, I find it hard to believe that that is not a choice, especially if you're an adult. If you are a child or something like that, and you're being told by your parents one thing, and you have no way of being able to really kind of, you know, overtake that, I get it. But if you are my age or the age of anybody here and you're still a mental slave, that's a choice. I don't want to hear no excuses about that.
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
Again, I agree that slavery was a choice. I have no problem with what Mr. West said. I don't. But what I'm saying is, because see, I don't take political advice from a rapper. If Cornel West has said that, I would be concerned. But I don't take political advice from no damn rapper. So what I'm saying is this: I don't have a problem with people telling the story. Okay. What I have a problem with is when people don't tell the whole story.
Okay.
That's my issue.
Okay.
My issue is not that he's saying slavery was a choice. Of course, slavery is a choice, but not everybody made that choice. That's my point. Some people fought to the point of suicide, but they fought. Take for instance, the Japanese. Let's go back to contemporary time. We dropped two bombs on the city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you see. And we killed over 250,000 people in World War II. But yet, the Japanese have managed through their culture. They lost now. They lost. They chose to fight, but they lost. But through their culture, they have affected the world, and they lost. So just because people choose to fight or they lose, they choose to fight and they lose, didn't mean that they didn't make a choice not to accept slavery. And that's my issue. That the argument is in essence oversimplistic. You either chose slavery or not. Well, there were a bunch of people that didn't choose slavery, but we're not talking about the people who fought slavery. We're just spending time on the people that were beaten down as a result of the repression and counterinsurgency to crush those movements. That's what I'm talking about, is the concentration only on one half of the tale.
Now, I think one thing that we're leaving out here is the fact that Kanye did not say that slavery was a choice. He said 400 years of slavery, that sounds like a choice. That's a big difference, because when you say slavery was a choice, you're making a declarative statement, a blanket statement that affects everybody that was a slave. When you say it sounds like a choice, what you're doing is raising the question: is it a choice? Is it not a choice? What was really going on? You're raising the question rather than making a blanket declarative statement. So that's a very big thing that does not really seem to get talked about a lot in these kind of conversations.
You know what? I saw that interview.
Real quick.
It didn't sound like he was making.
Oh shit! Almighty Triple XL is here. Hold on, Tony, real quick. ABL, I love you like a play cousin. It's like everybody here won a motherfucking award except for me. You niggas need to give me the other nigga the award of the year, something. ABL, you know I love you like a play cousin, okay? But if I say that sounds like a hater, he sounds like a bitch. it's a very good way of implication. So he is making an implication.
Exactly.
I mean, that's your.
We know what he's. I mean, so it's
that's
like,
your opinion though, because that's not what he said. You got to go off what somebody said.
That sounds like okay. Let's since we want to do this because I know what I know we like to do the definition and stuff like this. So, let's do this. Convey a specified impression when heard. Okay.
What are you reading right now?
So okay, I'll give you to the point of it, that's our impression, but it's a very. I will say this since we want to play with the sound.
I'm not playing with it. I'm just saying what he said.
Okay, so what he said. Okay, it's a very strong implication, nonetheless.
But that's your opinion about strong
implication. It's not an opinion because it sounded like that sounds like a. So in other words, what I'm thinking that what he's saying, what it sounds like to me that he's saying is, to me, it looks like that's a choice.
You're saying to me, that's what it sounds like. That sounds like an opinion.
Okay, so it sounds like an opinion, but sounds like it's an implication. It is a strong he's making, even if he's not saying it, he's strongly implying it. Because when you say sounds like, it is very synonymous to. You understand? It's like a variable. It's like in statistics, you're taking variances. The variances are similar, or the variances are equal. Similar is very close to the same. And in this case, there's a very, very, very gray line, a very close line to it's a strong implication. So we can say he didn't mean what he said. I'll give you that point, but he is implying it nonetheless.
I mean, he said what he said. He said it sounds like, because when I heard that, I'm like, okay, he's just making the conversation. He's just like saying what he's thinking, but he's not making a declarative statement, because when you make a declarative statement, then you get into the arguments that happen afterwards that say, oh, he said it was a choice. I can prove that it wasn't a choice. I have this point, and that point, but you're proving something that's not there, something that was not said. Why try to prove something that was not said? You could say, all right, Kanye, these are the reasons, why I think it wasn't a choice or why it wasn't a choice, but to assign that to him, like you're trying to debunk what he said, that doesn't make any sense. You can educate him.
We don't have to assign it to
the 1600s.
We don't have to assign it to. We don't have to even assign it to him for the clarity of this show. Actually, what we can do is we can use what he said sounded like, and we can imply if it was a choice. In our opinion, we don't even have to put it in his mouth.
That's your opinion, not my opinion.
We can go from there. It doesn't change the context of the show at all. Let me just do this real quick. Let's go to LAR, and then we're going to go to Max City. Go ahead, LAR.
Oh, well, all I was going to say is when you say 400 years sounds like, you're going back to the 1600s.
Okay.
Mathematically speaking, it don't sound like you starting 30 years ago. You're going back to the 1600s. Now, I just like playing with different things, but that means it sounds like, Native Americans chose to lose this country. It sounds like, Mexicans chose to lose from Texas all the way to California.
I mean, you're talking about an event that happened over a period of time. Like, you're talking about events that happened to a whole institution. Because what he was saying, it was like,
but those events happened part of the 400 years, didn't they?
Nah, but you kind of missing what was the point. You're missing the point. The point is that he was saying 400 years, like he was talking. He was referring to the amount of time that this whole thing has lasted. That's what he was referring to. He was not referring to just the institution of slavery by itself. He was talking about slavery.
What did he say? What did he say to say? Almost like ABL. What did he say that can be verified to say what you're saying? Because are you making an implication with that statement?
He said 400 years. He said when I hear about 400 years of slavery, 400 years, that sounds like a choice. He's referring to the time, and he said it sounds like a choice. He referred to the time. He said 400 years, so the time is right there. He put that out there. So that's what he's talking about.
Didn't. But what you just said that doesn't make any. Say what you said before that I just interrupted you. What did you just say?
Okay. Kanye was referring to the length of time that slavery happened, and then he was saying that sounds like a choice, which is exactly what he did. He said the 400 years of slavery sounds like a choice. He's referring to the time that's 400 years and the slavery. Sounds like a choice. Said it all right there in that statement. Am I wrong or right?
There was no 400 years of slavery in America. It's more like something years.
I understand that, but okay. I'm talking about what he said. And he also said the mental slavery, which is part of it. And also on Twitter, he backed it up after the interview and then said he was referring to the mental slavery that happened after slavery was over as an institution. So I'm right.
No, I mean, the thing about it is this. If he would have said that at that point, after the backlash that he got, why didn't he clear it up then? It seems like he's saving face to me at that point, right? Because if that's what he meant, then he should have clarified it at the time on the TMZ interview, not any points after that to try to save face. That's what he's trying to do.
Because maybe I don't know. I'm giving my opinion now, but maybe he's thinking people understand how long.
Sounds like, yeah.
I'm giving my opinion. That's something different.
Okay,
I'm giving my opinion about what he said.
Let me read the super chats, guys. We got the Fat Mac Almighty Triple XL in the building. Nigga wouldn't answer my motherfucking phone calls to see about this goddamn award and shit.
When you call?
I called you about 32 times. Oh, no, I didn't. Actually, I called somebody else. No, I called you. Yeah, 321 area code. Nigga, you know you see my shit. Kanye referred to mental enslavement. Did you watch the entire interview? Seems like you are quite mining. What does quite mining mean? Anybody know what that means?
I'm guessing fishing.
Dog, you making up. If that's it, what is whoever knows what quite mining is, tell me, nigga. Dre Darrell, $5. Thank you so much. The Yeti 90, looking forward to the show. Good to be back. Art Banaka. It'd be great if you allow callers, bro, because I love to share my perspective on that subject. It's an awesome topic, man. What is it? Many folks tonight. I don't know if we can get some callers in. Young Link, damn Tony, you are an attorney. Very profound talking points, my dude. You actually dig a law school. Eastside Gypsy, been a minute no shades or something, dog. That's my partner, man, out of Detroit. Now what he had to Soleil time domain. The only choice the slaves had was suicide, but no sane person wants to die. You'd have to be insane to do it. Let's let Fat Mac Triple XL weigh in on it because he has some pretty harsh words on his podcast. I heard it in Germany. Yeah, the Fat Mac Triple XL was saying some shit to these niggas, man. But go ahead and explain, man, what you was talking about, player.
No, man, I'm military minded, man. You know what I mean? I don't have any problems with what Kanye was talking about. I'm tripping off the butthurt of the masses of these niggas out here, man, wearing panties, all crying about what the fuck this nigga said, man. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, this is the thing that I'm tripping off the liberal media, man. But what a lot of cats got to understand, when you're looking at the liberal media and you see them compiling all these people coming up against Kanye, speaking against him, you got to ask yourself, why is this so important to the liberal media, and why are they stacking the deck against Kanye like this? You know what I mean? It's kind of like the shades of it's kind of like recalling what happened to Cosby. It seems like every man, especially black man, that gets on and talks about being a man, being reliant, be responsible, self accountability. You know what I mean? It's their duty to basically smear him and lambast him, man. You know what I mean? The liberals can't have you actually looking at yourself, looking inward for the solution to your problems. They make too much money off your fuckery. You know what I mean? So it's incumbent upon them. Like if you got a Cosby talking about pull up your pants, or if you got a Kanye talking about, hey, it's your choice if you sink or swim. You know what I mean? If you rise or fall. It's like all these black men out here are they crying about this shit. I'm like, seriously. And what he's talking about is just standard protocol for pro-blacks, especially in the 90s. You know what I mean? It's like with all the raps I was listening to back in the 90s with the pro-black cats, man, was always talking about freedom or death. That denotes a choice. You have a choice to rise or fall, to be victorious or fail. And I'm not understanding what these niggas is crying about so goddamn hard, man. Okay. I'm like, seriously. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, man. So I'm just tripping off the media, man, and how black folks still swallowing the liberal media, how they lambast and how they basically malign and smear black thinkers, or if you can call Kanye a thinker, whatever, man. But I'm not understanding how. I'm just not understanding, why these niggas crying so hard about this shit, man. It's real simple. Me coming from a military background and me really being in love with the martial arts. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. Everything starts with the self. If you win,
You know what I mean? It's because of you, and if you fail, it's because of you.
Okay.
Period. You know, you can't blame nobody else if you know, like say if we have white supremacy and we're talking about, let's say, we're talking about a heavyweight title match, and white folks, they're training, they're doing the road work, they're sparring, they're hitting the mitts. Then you got black folks over here. We're not sparring, we're not hitting the mitts, we're not doing the road work. Basically, what black folks want to do, they want to go over to the so-called enemies camp, and they want to beg white folks, please don't do road work, please don't spar, please don't hit mitts. Let us win for a change. You know what I mean? That's what these niggas are advocating. And I ain't on it. I'm like, if we gonna get down, let's get down. Let's get on the battlefield. Let's mix it up, and let's see who's popping. You know what I mean? Niggas don't want to fuck with that. Niggas want handouts. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't on it. And that's all I got to say.
Well, that's the fastback triple XL.
Preach, Pastor.
Let's go to Tony real quick. And I think you guys are making a good point with reference to this whole idea of being mentally, enslaved. Since I think that's like the biggest part that's affecting Black people today, not only in America, our brothers and sisters, if you want to say that, cousins in other countries that have been affected by the same things are also mentally drained. And then, I obviously in our country where, as far as African Americans have it, I have to be honest, we have it a lot better, even though we were enslaved, our ancestors. Many of you guys have no idea how much better you have it than others do. Because there are no other groups of Blacks on earth that have what African Americans have. It's not the same. With all of the abilities and things that we have as African American people, are we mentally enslaved, and who is at fault for that slavery of the mind? We'll start with Tony on this one.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely. My argument, I approach any argument, I approach any subject. I'm a student of history, and it's not because I want to live there. It's because I'm trying to understand the forces that shape the present. So in this day and age, to be in a fucked up position, it is absolutely a choice. Today, it is a choice, because at this point, there's no, we've seen the playbook. They've thrown everything at us that they can throw. Chemical and biological warfare, medically, biologically created diseases, counterinsurgent programs, state repression, chattel slavery. We've had it all, and we're still here. They've thrown everything they could at us, and we're still here. So at this point, yes, there is no excuse to remain in this condition. I will give you that. I'll never deny that. There is either you're gonna squat up. I'm a big proponent of, even if you get your ass kicked, you have to fight. Even if you get your ass, you may not win, but if someone is getting their lunch off you, you get your breakfast off them. I'm a fervent adherent of fighting when it is to defend your humanity. So yes, if you're talking about mental slavery, of course, today there's no excuse for it. Now, I don't follow celebrities. This was just really a chance for me to just look at and to say, we need to bring in the other side of the discussion. That's what I'm saying. Bring in the other side of discussion. So when you say it's like when you say 400 years sounds like a choice to me. Well, first of all, there was no slavery for 400 years in America. Second of all, we all know what we mean when we make statements. If we say, for instance, Larry Elders sounds like a bitch to me, everybody would agree that I'm saying Larry Elders is a bitch. So, we don't have to be dishonest about that. But I think I do believe in personal responsibility. Anybody that has heard Mac City podcast, they know that we give niggas the business like nobody else. But what I'm saying is this: don't just tell one side of the story. Tell both sides of the story. Tell everything. If we're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth, not the right truth, not the left truth, the whole truth. You know, so that's where I'm at with mine.
Let me do the shout out to JB for the $5 super chat, guys. Good to see you guys again. I know you guys are missing these type of shows. Do me a favor, get the likes up, guys. For those people, I always like to see you new brothers who haven't donated in a while to support the podcast. You guys know that all these guys, I think Tony missing an award for him, but they all received a plaque due to your support here on the super chats and on Patreon. So again, we want to thank you for helping us start off small and to try to make this a better platform for brothers on YouTube and off of YouTube. So get the likes up. And if you guys support the stream, we have questions, hit the super chat button. We'll ask the question right away. I want to talk about this, LAR, because the people who I see responding to this statement Kanye West is making, they're saying, well, you know, look at the mental abuse that Black people as slaves received. Look at the policies that were issued to Blacks. You know, your hair is nappy, couldn't vote. You know, although those things are not there now, they had so many years of shaping the minds of African Americans that type of mindset, or what you would call, quote, white supremacy, it has passed down generation, and it affects the minds of Blacks. And so when people say, well, you know, it's a choice today, well, you're exonerating the evils that whites have done, not only the Blacks here in America, but it happened to the Portuguese and those in Brazil. It happens to those who colonized Africa today. With certain aspects where, you know, white man's ice is colder. A lot of times the Blacks believe this. There's policies that took, you know, Black people out of the home, Black men out of the home. You know, all of these types of situations. How can you exonerate whites and not put the blame at what it should be, which is at the footsteps of white supremacy? And then you want to exonerate them and saying that Black people should still pull up their bootstraps from that without addressing these people. Because, you know, I've heard, you know, people like Tariq Nasheed, Cynthia G, they take these points. What would you say to people like that are hitting you with this kind of evidence that's true and you cannot debunk it? How would you respond to somebody like that?
I think historically all of that is true.
Okay.
You can lay all of that at the feet of white supremacy.
Okay.
Can't argue with that. As Black people, though, especially in this age, all of our ancestors, whether it be our grandparents all the way down, they faced worse things than we did and kept fighting. So we can't have an excuse to say, you know, my feelings is hurt because my great granddaddy's feelings was hurt in 1901. Mm-hmm. We can't do that because that great granddaddy, through, you know, the back end of slavery and Jim Crow, he still worked and figured out a way to create land or work with brothers and create businesses. We can't skip over, go from slavery and skip over Reconstruction and the stuff that was happening in Jim Crow when we were working together and building. Also, we can't skip over all of that part and just start right now and say we're stuck. Do we have some mental issues? Yeah, we do. I think personally, one of our biggest mental issues right now is we want to act like the game is fair and it's not. You're the away team. They got home field advantage. You know that already. Your parents knew that. Your grandparents knew that. Your great grandparents knew that. So what the hell you crying about? Like, all the history bears out that says it's never going to be fair for us. We're not going to get a fair shake. So all this sitting around waiting on it, that's ridiculous. That's just as ridiculous as saying Jesus is going to come back and save us.
Yep. There is no crying in war. Absolutely.
But we got to admit that we are at war, because let's be honest, a lot of us talk a good game. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of us talk like, you know, oh, you know, I'm a soldier till them guns come out. Mm-hmm. And using this in a real sense, some of the hardest people we know are in jail, right? Mm-hmm. They can't escape because the guards got more guns than them. They locked in. They ain't getting out until they tell them you can get out. Mm-hmm.
and the prisoners outnumber the guards.
Right. Even with that, it's like, what did he do? He got quadruple life for killing 37 people. But when they tell him to go take a shit, he gonna go take a shit when they say so, because they holding a shotgun.
He said quadruple life for killing 37 people.
But that's it, man.
let me do this, because ABL is gonna have an interesting point of view on this. Shout out to Greg Barnes for the $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. And let's see here. We have my man JL. Slave revolts, uprising, Underground Railroad. Some made the choice of uprooting their plight. Yeah, Anthony Bryan Logan. Obviously, you have a slew of African Americans who hate your guts based off of what he had to say. African Americans hate your guts quite frequently. I heard about the BGS Itmore hangout where it got real. I didn't hear it, but I heard people called me in Brazil and was telling me about some kind of almost some altercations where somebody wanted to fight you or something like that. So
yeah.
So people dislike you heavily for this particular opinion, but I want to ask the same question that I asked, LAR movement regarding the white supremacy talking point, the mistreatment of blacks, and when somebody sits this at your foot stool, how can you? What's your argument against what they're saying?
I mean, white supremacy, I think it's just a cop out for people that don't want to just take personal responsibility for their lives, for their own actions, and for what's going on right now. You want to talk about historical things that happened in the past, talk about slavery and bring that up, but we're in 2018. How long are we going to live in the past? And why is it always just everything got to be about white people? If it was not for African slave traders, we wouldn't even be here in the first place. The European could not come into the interior of the continent and snatch us up. Matter of fact, Itmore said that. BGS Itmore said that himself on a hangout recently. I don't know who was there, but he said it, and it's a true thing. And then not only were the white people involved in slavery, other Africans were involved in slavery. Also, the Arabs were involved in slavery. So if we're going to blame the so-called white man, why don't we blame everybody for our problems? That's the whole point. We keep blaming everybody else for our own problems rather than just fixing them. We could keep blaming everybody till the cows come home. It doesn't even matter if it's true or not. What is it going to do? You can sit here every day and say, white supremacy, this, white supremacy, that. And people like Tariq Nasheed can get on their Ustream or whatever and say white supremacy 1,000 times. It won't change anything in the black community. So even if you believe that white supremacy is the reason why we're here, what are you going to accomplish by saying that? You're not going to accomplish anything. The only way we're going to be able to fix any problems is if we take stock of what's happening right now and work as one to fix it. Worrying about the white man won't get us anywhere at all.
True that.
I gotta ask a question to Mac City, which will be different because I think Mac City has already expounded on that. But I gotta ask a question that is very, 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 very controversial. Should black people get reparations? I want to ask everybody on the panel. I think this is an important question. Okay, because there's no doubt that there's been certain things that have happened to blacks. Obviously, certain groups get reparations. Jews get it. You mentioned somebody mentioned Japan. I believe that was Tony. Japan did get, I believe, a certain amount of money from the United States to rebuild Japan. Black people, to be fair, and I have to say this, and please guys don't call me a coon, okay? I've studied a little bit of Portuguese slave trading, British slave trading, and French slave trading. By far, out of all of those in British, it's also the same things in the United States. Even though slavery is bad, the African Americans are way off to the point that if you take the African American economy and put it as its own separate country, it's like the 11th or 10th biggest economy in the world.
Yes,
right.
It's even bigger than Brazil, and Brazil is number 8 as an economy. So the African American economy is a top 6 or 7 worldwide economy. Just so you guys know. So we're not in any bad off shape. But should we get maxi limits? Should we get reparations? And I think this is it ties into the slavery as a choice thing, because I think those people who are disagreeing with you, are disagreeing with Tony, are disagreeing with LAR and definitely the most hated ABL, they're gonna ask this question. They're gonna say we deserve reparations. So and like David Carroll always says, how much? What's the cost? So should we get? What's your thoughts about the reparations piece? I just want you kind of weighing on it. Shout out to Sister Allie Emmett here. Go ahead, Matt.
I don't really know how that would work. You know what I mean? I firmly believe that since everybody else got a piece of the pie, I definitely believe that we should get on as well. But also saying that, I don't think it'll do us any good anyway because we lack the discipline to know what to do with the money in the first damn place. So,
Jesus,
you know what I mean? I don't understand. What the argument would be. I don't know how much you would go ahead and give black folks, but to me, it would be just like pouring it down the drain and going to a black hole because all black folks are going to do is go out and spend it with white folks anyway. Yes. They're not going to invest it, so they're just going to give it right back to the Caucasian. So it's a ridiculous argument in the first place. So yeah, go ahead, give us reparations because white folks going to get the money in the end anyway. So what the hell?
Niggas about Jordans, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and also let me go ahead and say a little something about you was talking about the whole mind control thing. Okay. Bruh, the media is just insane. What I found interesting is everybody going ham on Kanye about this. Okay. And 2 or 3 months ago when Black Panther came out, you know what happened, man? Everybody was hugging the nuts of Killmonger, right? Okay. All right. You did see what happened to Killmonger at the very end of the movie, what he said that impassionate speech he gave, right?
Yes.
Talking about he would rather die and he want to go ahead and just jump off the ship with his ancestors and whatnot. So he was presented with a choice. He said, I would rather die than go into a jail cell and be locked up and basically for all intents and purposes, be a slave. So I'm thinking to myself, what's the difference between what Kanye is saying and what Killmonger is saying? There ain't no difference. The difference is the media is basically bringing all these people out talking cash shit about Kanye, and black folks, like the fucking puppets they are following in line with that bullshit, man. So we want to talk about brainwashing. We want to talk about black folks not having a high enough IQ to know when they being fucked with and they being bamboozled. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, it's good for Killmonger, right? But when Kanye say it, you got a problem, nigga.
Right.
What's up with it?
Okay, stop the show. Whatever break you took to rejuvenate your memory, nigga, you on fire tonight. You must have done some ginkgo biloba, nigga, because you're trying to come with this motherfucking shit tonight, nigga. I need whatever you need.
I just drank a spinach and kale shake, nigga.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah. You go, media got you juicing, goddamn it.
Get a spinach and kale shake.
I'm juicing, man. I'm juicing. I'm on fire.
Oh, nigga.
You talking all that gangster shit and you sipping the smooth.
Motherfucker, eating broccoli. Nigga doing push-ups and jumping jacks and shit. Okay, let me shout out some people real quick. Guys, we going in tonight, like you guys know, man. Got a group of brothers, man, that got an IQ over 85. Right, as to say African American IQ is 85. What will reparations accomplish is the real questions and how we do it. Okay, shout out to Idris Singleton, always supporting my man. Some odds. So liberals weaponize slavery to keep us stuck in the past. Let's be solution based as a people. Respect to everybody on the stream. Thank you, brother, for that. Marcus Love, let's get a slavery's choice like something. Shout out to Marcus Love, man. Okay, let's go to I think, did we already ask ABL that question? Did we ask about
what?
Did we ask about reparations already?
No, you didn't.
Okay, so yeah, because we gotta make sure, because you're gonna say some shit that's gonna make everybody mad. So go ahead on and say what you need to say.
Reparations, just like I think my man Matt City Limits put it the best way. I don't really have too much more to add, but I just want to expound in the whole thing about what are we going to do with the money. We get a lot of set asides right now. We get a lot of money right now from the federal government that we don't use in the proper way.
Okay.
We take that money and then we give it right back to the so-called white man. We sit here and complain all the time about the white man. We get money from the white man and give it right back to him. We don't bounce any money in the black community amongst each other. We say, oh, I don't want to go to the black business. I think they're going to be raggedy from the beginning without even going there, check it out for yourself to see what's what. I deal with black business a lot, have been for a very long time. I don't have this preconceived notion about black business being raggedy. So how are we going to do anything with the money when we can't even acknowledge the fact that there are black businesses out there that need our help, that need our capital? We would rather bypass them and go to the white-owned stuff. And then what do? The white people are not coming back to the black community to spend money there. They're going to take the money that we give them and spend it amongst their own people, give it to their kids, put up a college fund for little Johnny and Julie and Hunter and all them. Meanwhile, little man and meat, are going to the worst public schools ever. If they go to college, it's going to be some raggedy rundown stuff. And then we're sitting here wondering what's going on. So we got to change the whole mentality to even receive the money. And how is it going to work? Slavery's been over since 1865. At the end of the day, the reparation money will come from tax money. So the money that you pay in taxes is going to be given back to you in reparations. Are they going to raise taxes to pay for reparations? Where's money going to come from? So if they raise taxes, not only will the average black person who is already struggling right now with money going to be that much more broke, we're also going to get the money and give it right back to them. So you're going to get taxed higher to only let go of more of your own money that you made in the first place. It doesn't make any sense from a common sense point of view, from a logistics point of view, and general purpose. It won't even be executed properly if we were to get it. So the whole thing about reparations, it's a pie in the sky. People talk about it on YouTube. It's a dream. It would never happen. Even if it did, it wouldn't even matter. We got to change our mentality in general rather than worrying about some fanciful thing that would never, ever come. It's like trying to put a tooth under the pillow waiting for the tooth fairy. The tooth fairy is not going to come. Maybe your grandma will come with some money out of her bra, but not no real cash that's going to help you in your life. But that's all I got.
Let me weigh in on this real quick. And what I'm gonna say is gonna be pretty fucked up. Living overseas. Like, and I wasn't in the military like Max Lee or Tony Maceo, but I'm living overseas like on my own. You know what I mean? Where you live in a particular place where you have no help from the government. You have to do it for yourself, or you ain't gonna have it. As you guys know, I was recently in Rio de Janeiro. I took a tour of the favelas. Shout out to my man Obi-Wan. And in the favelas, where the slaves built this, kind of system of housing for themselves because the government wouldn't help them. There is no government, things that help black people out. There's no such thing as historically black colleges or universities or certain aspects of affirmative actions like we have. If you ask me, we've already received, and this is going to sound fucked up, we have somewhat of a reparations with the economy that we have. Although that we have fought for what we have, to be the 8th or 9th biggest economy in the world is really great reparations. I mean, you have countries in the European Union that can't fuck with African-American economies and what we have. My thing is, if we can't do shit with what we got right now,
true.
I mean, you think about even as African-American men that, we have an intelligent group of brothers that are talking right now. We don't even control our own media as a group of men. And we have, well, except for Max City Limits, because he has his own form of media. You seen his no. before?
Oh my God.
Don't watch it, man. I'm just saying, but he definitely has his own media. But I would say right. we don't even control our own media as a group of black men. We don't have publications. We don't have a lot of podcasts. We don't have any events. We don't make politicians, be it conservative or liberal, even come to the table and see us. And we have a $500 billion economy, at least spending power, right? These are things that we don't even take up on ourselves to even give a fuck about. So, and if you go to Brazil or any of these other black places, man, they don't have shit. There's no such thing as a homecoming football classic where you can go see the dancing girls at Southern University shake their ass and shit. We have our own culture, man. Like black mega church culture. Like there's countries, bro, that don't even have black churches, like big ATM machines in the motherfucking front like we do. Like we some rich motherfuckers. If you think about it,
right?
Niggas don't have it like us. Even Polish people, when they come to America and they move to where we live, they're like, God damn, y'all got a washer and a dryer? Do you know how many people? I was staying in Ipanema Beach, the most wealthiest section of Rio de Janeiro. They don't even have washers and dryers in their fucking house. It's a privilege. And the washers and dryers, nigga, overseas, dog, our washers and dryers is huge. That's American life. Even the poorest of niggas got a washer and a dryer.
Yep.
That don't happen overseas. That don't happen nowhere else. People in England don't even have that shit. So when I'm talking to you niggas about this reparation shit is, nigga, you have a $1.3 trillion spending power. You niggas can't even get it together with that. You know, you can't even circulate your money with that. Did somebody say that the money in the black community is stay there 6 to 5 hours? That's how long it circulates. And I mean, now that is a choice, you know. But I just wanted to make that point. I think that, you know, as far as this is a black male podcast, I think Negroes, the Negro male in this particular case, you know, you got to make the choice. Now, I always say that. Stop hating other black men. Stop getting so butthurt because somebody have a different opinion than you. You got to get out of that because that is still slavery. Hating on other niggas because they have a different ideology and you start name calling. That is also like a form of slavery in itself. I just wanted to weigh in on that part. Let me go to LAR movement, man. Whatever you wanted to weigh in on there, and we can kind of take the conversation someplace else. But go ahead, brother.
I'm gonna agree and disagree.
Okay.
Should we get reparations? Absolutely. I think the idea that we're going to spend it all wrong is part of slave mentality, because Indians got reparations and they didn't all come together and spend it properly, but they were owed. Italians got reparations from America. They didn't all spend it properly, but they were owed. So did Japanese, and they were owed. You know, we even paid Jewish people reparations in this country. We had nothing to do with the Holocaust. I know all of them didn't spend the money properly, but they were owed. So we're owed just like everybody else. I think the ideology that we're buying into the defeatist slave mentality attitude too. If we gonna get money, then what we gonna do? We just gonna buy rims. All of us, like every last one of us. Like Byron Allen gonna say, "Fuck this! I'm buying a Porsche."
Right.
No.
Where's the money come from?
Who gives a fuck? It's owed.
It matters because
money, I don't give it. If look, ABL, if you stole something from me and 30 years go by, when I see you, I better get my shit or I'm fucking you up because you owe me. I don't want to hear the speech of where money gonna come from. Well, I've already spent that. Let's move on. That was a long time ago.
Who you gonna point to in this case? But who are you going to point to in this case? Slavery been over with for over 150 years. So who are you going to point to in this case?
So fucking what?
Who are you going to get who is going to pay them? Who are you going to get the money from?
This is America. Last time I checked, they paid motherfuckers here a couple years ago for the Holocaust when the country was $20 trillion in debt. They print money up just because. Print that shit up.
So you can get it from the federal government?
Print that shit up like they printed up for everybody else.
So basically, you get your own tax money back to you?
Nope. The equivalent of the 40 acres and the mule, print that shit up. Make it right. Print that shit up and make it right.
He makes a good point, though. He makes a good point.
Nah, that made no sense because at the end
it makes sense. I think so. Go ahead, Avian. Why does it make sense? Because everybody else, why should the Jews get it? We not get it.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to get the tax money. We're going to get our own tax money back. I mean, you're talking about Jews. Are you talking about American Jews or Jews overseas?
Hold up. Native Americans don't pay taxes at all, do they?
Huh?
Don't the Native Americans not pay taxes at all?
No, they don't. If they're on the reservation.
Okay, well, fuck it. That's our reparations. No more taxes. Everybody who's a descendant of slave, no more taxes.
Now, how you going to prove that?
Motherfucker, stop trying to stop paying.
Now, understand what I'm saying. Understand what I'm saying, because I think you don't really understand what I'm saying. How are you going to prove who's black or who's not? Look at Sean King. Are you going to let him get reparations?
He'll do it because y'all.
Rachel Dolezal. How about her?
Oh, are we gonna let you? Your ass might be from Jamaica.
Ooh.
We gotta go back.
That's a good point.
We got records.
Because now you can't
use the records. We got all of these roles and records to take everybody in America.
Everybody has records that trace back to slavery
all the way back to a certain point.
Now everybody has that. So how are you going to really determine who's who? Because you got the Africans that came over here after slavery, people that came from the Caribbean, people that came from South America, people that came from the Dominicans. Like, who are you really going to prove is the actual descendant of slavery? And at what point do you say that you're not black? Because what, like Barack Obama, would he reparations?
Check this out. ABL, we're gonna have $5 Indians just like white people who say they Native American and not paying no taxes. We're gonna have $5 Negroes.
Okay,
it's gonna happen.
All right, but then
here's my question to you: why does it have to be perfect when it got to be black folks, not ABL? Everybody else is all fucked up for them too.
I'm asking questions. That's all I'm saying.
It ain't gonna be perfect. It's America. We praise Jesus and kill people at the same time. The shit ain't gonna be perfect.
So you willing to have your taxes go up
American flag and the Blue Lives Matter flag, and the cops can shoot your ass tonight, and you still be cool with it? This is America. Shit's fucked up. So just give me my fucked up money.
From where?
Here's the thing, ABL.
I make no sense.
I gotta ask the government. You're asking from where? Okay, so let's eliminate from where. The point is,
why are we doing that?
Well, the thing about it is this: he makes some strong points. Because
why are we eliminating it from where?
Well, the thing is, I want to know from you, because from where, I don't think that's important for right now. We can get into where later, but this is why it's important right now for me, at least. And what I want to know from you is, do you feel that blacks are owed reparations based off how they've been treated?
Nah, not really. Not really.
Oh, okay, so that's where I'm getting at right now. Okay, why is that?
I feel like we have other advantages in society that we should take advantage of, that for some reason we just seem to ignore. We get a lot of preferential treatment when it comes to employment, especially in the federal government. If you're talking about you want money from the federal government, why do you want the cash? What is that going to do? All you're going to do at the end of the day, when we're talking about logic, what's going to happen is money that you pay in taxes will be given back to you in reparations, and they probably will raise it to get the money to a certain level to give you back reparations. Don't make no sense at the end of the day. Logically, it don't make sense. Emotionally, it sounds good, but logically, it don't make no sense. What is a better way is to have what we have right now, which is, a lot of positions in government that are set aside for us. I think it says something like 70% blacks work in government. 70%.
Where?
Like 20% of us unemployed. So what is it?
Where is that at?
Where what?
Where's what? Go ahead. We'll get the right now. Go ahead,
Where is that?
Okay, can I finish my statement?
Yeah, let him finish. Yeah. We'll go right to you, Tony. Go ahead.
Now, when I say working in government, I'm talking about police, fire, military, post office, anything that's related to the government contracts, people that are self-employed that work for government indirectly, that have the government as their chief client, civilians work in the government that work directly for them. There's a lot of that type of stuff going on all over the country. You got these military towns, a lot of them have a higher black population than their percentage. So that's a big number. Shout out to my man Afro Synergy on YouTube. I met him in DC. We were at a black event, and he said that at the event. And you can look him up. You can verify it with him. Huh?
I'm subscribed to him.
Shout out to him.
For 1 second, ABL.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Let's go. LAR's gonna ask question. We're going right to Tony Maceo. Go ahead, real quick, LAR.
Even with you saying that, we still only have like 2% of this country's wealth. So it's actually old.
Okay, but who has a majority?
70% of the jobs in the government have 2% of the country's wealth. That is statistically a problem.
Okay, who owns the majority of the wealth? Is it like a million white people, or is it like 50 people? You understand what I'm saying? You're talking about people like
how do they say that there's like 13 million white families with at least $1 million liquid?
Okay, how many black families?
300,000 or something like that.
Okay, now is that because of racism, or is it because of other things that may include racism, but may not be limited to that? Because let's wait a minute. Let's not forget that blacks are about 12.6% of the U.S. population. Whites are about 60%. So can we put that into the factor as well, as far as us being like the number 3 minority in the U.S.? We're not the majority at all by far.
Well, can we also say, using that same logic, those millions of white families didn't actually get there from hard work and labor? They got there from being able to use their white privilege to get richer. Most normal people doing the very same thing.
I don't know how you would prove that.
I told you can't play poker because you be fucking up. Your face be killing it.
No, I mean, I'm not even really trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a liar. I'm just saying, would you prove that?
It's already proven. It's American history. Statistically, historically, factually, it's already proven. Inherited wealth proven, stolen land proven, stolen businesses proven, stolen IPOs proven. It's already proven. Like, nepotism proven. It's already proven.
So you're saying that the majority or all of the people that are white who have money got it through like a nefarious way? They didn't just get it just because they happened to come up with an invention, hard work.
How did the Lehman Brothers get their money?
You said what now?
That business that failed? The Lehman Brothers. Remember that? How did they get their money?
Hey, there was some crooks going on. That's just one family.
No. How did their family make money?
I mean, I don't know the exact thing that happened.
Their family made money from slavery in Alabama and moved to New York to be a financial guru. So with that big business alone, that's one. What about the family?
Wasn't nobody black? Wasn't nobody black that owned slaves? Was there any wealth passed down from that?
Okay, so it was like it was black people that owned slaves. So it's like 2,020,000 white people that own slaves, and it was like 20,000 black people that own slaves. So there are people who own franchises, to the businesses, conglomerates, professional teams who got their money from slavery, or who've gotten their money off of IPOs stolen during Reconstruction and Jim Crow.
I think your numbers are off about the slave owners. I'm looking at a chart right here from the 1860 census that says total number of slaveholders. The 2 million number now is closer to 100,000, probably about 200,000.
That year?
Actually, matter of fact, from 1860, you had 393,000 total slave owners in the United States. Not 2 point whatever million. 1860, yes.
You got to start from when they started slavery to when they ended it. Count all of them goddamn people up. Not just 1860 in that era. Like, people do that. Like in 1861, people did die that were slave owners. You know this, right?
Okay, I'm just saying, like, so the number you had is just adding up from the whole thing of slavery. Everybody that ever
the whole thing up.
So anybody that died, you don't know if they had descendants or what. You're just saying, oh well, since we're just going to come with a number, it's like 2 point something million, and they all had descendants, and they all were able to carry on the wealth. Nobody went broke. Nobody took off their money. It was all just passed on, and then we're going to diminish the fact that there were blacks that owned slaves and also Native Americans that owned slaves. Maybe some of that money was passed down to their families. Are we going to talk about that? We're going to talk about whites.
Listen, guys, hold on a second. I gotta. This is getting good. Shout out to Paulina. Paulina, are you always welcome? But if you want to jump in today, I don't know if you're busy or not. We gotta start getting you in this. Let a woman come over here sometime. So let me do this real quick. Hey, check this out. I got to shout out the super chat supporters real quick, man, because they coming in. Niggas got paid today. So, thank you, brothers. Paulina Johnson, NBA. I enjoy them going back and forth. I do too. Donald Armstead, the biggest crime in slavery was the destruction of the black family. I think that's the next set of questions we need to go to, because this is a big thing that we can definitely. Well, I can't say. Okay, let's talk about that, because I agree and disagree.
Whoa. No.
I'm pretty sure that slavery, that there was a higher marriage rate after slavery than any other time, but we'll talk about that. And turning the black woman from the black man. Okay, I think that's a good argument. Until we choose to solve that, nothing else matters. So it makes up a good point. Let's address this question. Let's be honest. Are Americans even willing to give reparations to Black South Static? Some odds. So thank you so much. Minutes before midnight. Because when we tell blacks that it takes work to get ahead, they scream it's too hard. and try to look for all the shortcuts or make you look crazy so that no one wants to help you. He's right. Marcus Love, we borrowed some money from China for that had cut bill, ABL. So yes, tax money can pay some part of reparations.
That's not even true.
Oh, so he said true. Marcus Love is right. ABL.
No, I said that's not true.
It's not true. Okay.
Nah,
Dale Edwards, even if you pay your individual tax, you will get a higher return in forms of reparations. You won't break even. You will profit. Econ 101. The Yeti 90. We'd have to pay to prove we're related to slaves too. I have my proof, but how many do others? Charles Gilmore III. What money does the black community receive? Elaborate. Paulina Johnson, NBA. This is such a great show. I love YouTube. I'm working and listening to the men. Freelance running. Max City. That last video was Firebird. Respect. $5. Here's what I just want to say just real quick before we go to Tony Maceo. Here's what I suggest. If you were to do reparations, if there was a particular group that, let's say, they gave money to, like, as far as starting schools or certain things, not to individual black people, but certain resources and stuff like that, creating certain businesses or things like that. I think there are ways to do it without individually giving it to each black person. But if you could trust the group to actually handle the stuff, I think that's another way they could do it. But let me just do this real quick. Tony Maceo hasn't said nothing in a minute, and my man Max City Limits hasn't. Let's go to Tony Maceo and see what he has to weigh in on. Tony, go ahead and weigh in on the conversation, brother.
Well, two things. The reparations piece. I was coming out of the court today, and I was crossing the street, and a crackhead came up to me and asked me for 50 cents. And I told him all I had was $1. He told me to give him the $1 and he would come back with change. Now, I know that crackhead wasn't coming back with my 50 cents. I know that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Even though that's what he said, I knew that wasn't going to happen. That makes almost as much sense as expecting reparations from people that got ahead off of your free labor. It ain't coming, period. So instead of worrying about something that is not coming, you're going to have to get out there and get what you have coming to you on your own. It's not coming. LAR is exactly correct. Yes, everybody got paid. The Jews, the Japanese, and the Native Americans, and so forth and so on. But there's a particular character to black people. To be black in America is the ultimate contradiction. That's just the roll of the dice. It is what it is. So just like I wasn't going to wait for that crackhead to come back with my 50 cents, I'm not waiting for the United States government to cut a check for reparations to the black community. Second thing is when Mr. Logan gives information, I have to ask him, what does he mean? So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Logan, are you saying, I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying, because your arguing technique appears to be very vague. So are you saying that the federal government, that 70% of our community is employed in the federal government? Is that what you're saying, sir? Hello?
I think you off for a second.
Okay. Well, okay. Moving on. Reparations, absolutely. Is it the moral thing to do? Is it the right thing to do? Yes, it is. Is that shit gonna happen? No. When this question was proposed, all of this stuff has already been hashed out. And what they said, to Mr. Logan's point, the one thing that he did get right was that when they asked about this, they made this argument over 50 years ago.
Okay.
And they said that in order to bring black people into the mainstream, there would have to be an increase in tax. In other words, the population would have to be taxed in order to create an infrastructure for Black America. That was the Kerner Commission of 1968 after the riots. And white folks said, hell no. Hell no. Not only no, but hell no. That's something that they just weren't interested in. So when I look at that, and then I look at not just what this society has done to black people, but what it does to its own white people. You know, the labor wars, the history of the labor wars in this country is damn near as bloody as slavery. Now, some people won't believe that, but it's true. So if they will deny white people that their type, if they will deny their own white people their place in the economic sun, I'd be a damn fool to sit around and believe that they're going to share it with me, even though they owe it to me. So should you get it? Yeah. Is it coming? No. So there's no point in even sitting around waiting for it, from my perspective.
ABL is back.
Okay, ABL, let me before we do this, shout out to Harry Mingle. God damn, Harry Mingle does this like out the blue all the time, man. $300 super chat donation from Harry Mingle. Like I used to be like hella excited, but he does this all the time. So like I'm like, that's what he does, man. Shout out to Harry Mingle, man. He's like the biggest donor of all time, like since like 2 years ago. Shout out to you, but you've always, he really cares about black men. He always said, man, he always says, O'Shea, man, I want to help. Before I leave this world, I want you to help these brothers. And he always does that, man. So thank you so much, fam, for $3 super chat. My big bro, misanthropic one. Kanye isn't wrong. Niggas don't like facts. And that's my big bro. If he wants to jump on, you're more than welcome. So the Yeti 90, didn't whites make privilege for themselves? The mindset overall was strong, which is how they got power in the first place. Can't we do the same? That's a good point. Almost the same situation. We'll talk about this real quick. The white privilege for themselves. Me and Tony had a very good conversation. Tony taught me about the A.G. Gaston thing, which I think I'm gonna do a one-on-one with him based off of that. Because Tony can talk. Tony is like on Max City Limits podcast. If you hear that podcast, you hear Tony Max City doing a whole bunch of right. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah, niggatry, yeah. And there's Tony talking like 90% of the time. So, but I wanna do this real quick. And again, shout out to Harry Mingo, man. I can't, undercut what you're doing, brother, because you always do this. Thank you so much, man. I want to bring this idea to the table. This brother said, I want to start off with Max City Limits. He says the biggest crime in slavery was the destruction of the black family. I think maybe he might say, like, I guess certain families being torn apart, sold away, turning the black woman from the black man, I guess, the animosity, like black women not thinking that black men could protect them. So this part of slavery is what has divided black men from black women. These, post-slavery up until now, we have that certain, epithet, going on between the culture. So I want to ask Max City Limits, do you feel that slavery has had an issue, has a double negative? Do you think that slavery has had an effect, has an effect? Damn, I can't talk today. You know what I'm trying to say, nigga?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
On the relationships between black men and black women today. Nope. Okay.
Because basically, if you look at the statistics on it, man, just like you said earlier, who echoing? Is that you, Tony?
I muted him. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, you look at the statistics. We had intact families immediately out of slavery in the first place, man, and we didn't see the disintegration of the family till about maybe the 70s. Okay. You know what I mean? So for black folks to be blaming it on slavery is ridiculous, man. But even though the blueprint of the oligarchs and the social engineers to maintain control of a society is to basically break down the family. You know what I mean? They basically they flipped it. They've turned the family upside down. Okay. They have the children over the parents. They have the woman over the man. You know what I mean? And basically everything, or who's actually running the whole show, would be the government. And the oligarchs and social engineers, in order to maintain control of the society as a whole. And we both know that black folks are the canary in the coal mine. Basically it starts off with the black folks, and then it kind of trickles down to the white folks, man. They want to keep everybody's subjugated. They want to keep everything in chaos. And so in order to do that, you got to destroy the family, man. And so it's just not the black family. It starts with the black family.
Okay.
And it basically, it filters down to the white family. So it's just my opinion, my conspiracy theories, from everything that I have read and everything I've deduced. And plus I've lived it because I worked in foster care and closely with children's services, and just the way that they allow children to just do whatever they want, however they want to do it. And then when you look at the judicial system with women, man, I mean, they get carte blanche to basically do whatever they want, man. They hardly ever get any serious time for the fuck shit they do, man. And if a man basically breathe hard on somebody, man, they give him 15 years. You know what I mean? So it's a plan, man, to basically destroy and destabilize society as a whole by destroying the nuclear family. And it starts with the black family, and it will trickle down. A lot of white folks don't believe it, but it's actually happening in white America right about now. Oh, yeah. So that's all I got to say, man.
I think if you think about it, right? Let's look at this question again. And I know what you're saying. I just thought about it. I was like, well, he doesn't make a point. The guy who made the point, but the biggest crime in slavery was the destruction of the black family. Okay. The Democrats started slavery. Yeah? Democrats was the one holding slavery. The Republicans, Abraham Lincoln, freed the slaves, whatever. For whatever reason he did. The Democrats are also the same people. I mean, if you can look at who has these policies that destroy black family, they're the same people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So in that respect, I guess you can say that the same group is actually doing all of these same different things. If it's not slavery, then it's something else. But I get what you're saying. Definitely. Let me do this. Let me go to ABL real quick because, and again, shout out to Paulina. Paulina, don't be charging so much of these people thinking you got YouTube super chat fraud, baby. Why I love your show as a black woman, I am so inspired when I see black men dialogue the way that y'all do. You hear that? Y'all are bringing black women onto this channel. You brothers are acting so nice. I'm glad ABL stopped drinking all that Hennessy and stopped cursing on my damn show. ABL, let me ask you this. Do you think that the slavery thing has hurt the black family? Do you think it's hurt the relationship between black men and black women?
Well, I can't say that it was a positive thing. I think it did have a negative effect on black people in general. But what I will say is that even during slavery, the family was stronger than it is right now. So slavery could not do what years of being reliant upon the Democratic Party has done. Slavery, Jim Crow, all of that. In the year 1960, we had, I think, 80% two-parent households in the black community. Now, we're almost the exact reverse. When you're talking about single-parent households, we're right around 72 to 73% single-parent households, or, children born outside of wedlock, 73%. But in 1960, it was 80%. So what's really going on? I think that when you disincentivize work, when you disincentivize fathers from being in the household, when you empower the woman with career opportunities, you're going to have much less family units. Even during slavery, we had stronger families. People say that, the slaves' families are always broken up. That's not true. Sometimes they were, but sometimes they weren't. That's what that was. You had more intact families during slavery than you do right now. Okay. But like I said, slavery, was it a good thing? Obviously not. Obviously, it did have some kind of impact, but there was nothing that had an impact on the black family like the past 40 or so years under the Democratic Party.
True.
No, that's definitely true. Let me do this. A brother donated, Roland Donker. Thank you so much, brother, for the $2 super chat. I think let me ask LAR Movement the same question or whatever you wanted to weigh in on. LAR, we got 449 viewers at 10:30 at night. Y'all niggas ain't got nothing to do. All right, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, weigh in on it.
I don't think slavery destroyed the family because it's currently destroyed off of something completely different.
What is that? What is that?
Selfishness and people being power drunk because they think they're gonna live the American dream. In my opinion. Okay. Because, first and foremost, even with y'all talking about the Democratic part, let's not leave out that Republicans had slaves in the North too. Like, You know,
no, that's not the point. The point is that we are under the Democratic Party and their principles since like in the past 40 years. That's what has really destroyed us. It wasn't slavery.
No. Jack.
Hold on. I'm gonna respond. Hold on. Tony.
Affirmative action came to us by virtue of Richard Nixon. He was a Republican.
You said affirmative action. What about the welfare state?
The welfare state. I think the welfare state came under Johnson, but it expanded under Richard Nixon.
But it came under Johnson. Okay.
most of the most sinister programs, all of your sinister programs, and of course now let's be correct. Let's be correct because today's and this is what you left out, Mr. Logan.
Oh, the blue dog Democrats.
Republicans were yesterday's Democrats.
A myth.
So I agree with you. The Democratic Party is the source, but the Democratic Party on both aisles.
A myth.
Why is
no,
that
that's not a myth.
The party switch. The party switch is a myth.
No, there's no myth. I'll be damned. There's no myth. The only one that stayed behind was Robert Byrd. That's no myth. There was a switch of party affiliations during the 60s.
The same tactics that the Democrats did
is not a myth, sir.
during slavery, what they do right now.
Sir, the Southern strategy came as a result of the party switch. The Southern strategy was. I'm sorry?
There was no party switch.
Yes, there was a party switch.
The same tactics that the Democrats did during slavery, they do right now.
Byrd was the only one that didn't switch. He was the only one that stayed as a Democrat. The Southern strategy came out of the so-called myth. That's the one where they said, well, ignore the black vote and go for the white working class male vote. You know, the same vote that elected Mr. Trump as president. So this concept about this, no, there's no switch. That happened. That's real.
The same ideology.
That's as real as your president, Richard Nixon, resigning from office in '74. Is that a myth too?
Look, hold on. ABL, it's okay. You really spewing Democratic talking points. You just don't know it.
No, Republican talking points.
There was no party switch.
There was a party switch. There was a party switch.
The same thing. Can I talk right quick? The same thing that the Democrats did during slavery is what they do right now. How they treat black folks is no different. Look at the abortion. Look at all these things they try to do. Anytime you get off the Democratic plantation, as I like to call it, you get attacked. White people attack you. Black people attack you. It's the same thing they did back then. It's no different. It's no difference. The only thing that changed is
my point.
Hold on.
But I'm a runaway slave.
It was actually my turn. You know what I'm saying? ABL got all that bully shit again. But you act like Republicans don't have a plantation too.
Yes.
What is their plantation?
Like Republicans have a plantation just like Democrats do.
Can you break it down for me? Okay. I hear you say that, but can you break it down for me?
ABL,
what is their plantation?
Okay? You chose to be a Republican slave, okay?
What is their plantation? Can you break it down for me or no?
Republican plantation is mass privatization. That's what it is. The gospel of deregulation that actually disempowers people.
What's wrong? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having less government influence?
Because
the government was the one that was behind slavery.
This is the important.
The government was behind Jim Crow.
This is the
wait. Time out.
Hold on, wait, guys. Hold on. We're getting a little out of hand.
Less government.
Okay, hold on.
Say what now?
Wait. One at a time now. Hold on. Let's let Tony make this, and then we go to LAR. All right, go ahead, Tony.
That garbage of less government, that sounds good in theory, but whenever that has been tried, whenever that has been attempted, what you always had was a group of people that always enriched themselves at the expense of the populace. Okay, the reason we got government regulation, and I'll give you one example: the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. You know why? Because the meat packing cartels or the beef cartels didn't even think enough of their clients to inspect, to ensure that they were selling decent meat, to make sure that they were selling food fit for human consumption. About 3 hours from me, 3 or 4 hours from me, are Mingo and Matewan counties, the coal mines of West Virginia. What happened when privatization takes over a whole community? They own the damn schools, they own the damn houses, they own the damn doctors, they own the police force, and those people existed in a state of industrial feudalism. That's what happens when you don't regulate them. The landlord-tenant laws that we have on the books came as a result because we didn't have a means to regulate landlords. It stopped them from kicking people out in the streets for arbitrary and capricious reasons. The reason that the laws are on the books was because of no regulation. It has been shown that if you give these people, these pigs need to be regulated. If you don't put some type of check on these individuals, you will produce a society full of misery. And Adam Smith said that, and he's the father of capitalism.
Are you a communist?
No, I'm a pragmatist. I'm a moderate. I'm a pragmatist. I'm a realist.
Okay. All right. Now, you say you live in West Virginia?
No, I live in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, you live in Dayton. Okay.
Because I was from West Virginia.
You said what now?
I'm 4 hours from West Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, I was born in West Virginia.
For you take me to present times, I was given a historical overview and an example of what happens when we apply this gospel of less government and supply side economics with no regulation. You never let these bastards get away without being checked, because if they're able to get away without being checked, you know what they're going to do when they're able to get away without being checked. Segregation wasn't just a government action. The White Citizens Council wasn't a government entity. It was an entity of private, wealthy businessmen. Okay. The lynchings that took place when they lynched black, there was a 30-year study done in a book called The Festival of Violence. E. Stewart told me did a study during that period of segregation. And what they said, here's what they said. They said that in times when the cotton prices were low, there were massive hangings, and at an average of one every other day. When the cotton prices were high, there were less lynchings. There was a correlation between the two, and the people that led the mob were not the police. So you believe in price fixing? Wait. The people that led the mob were not the police. They were not the governors. They were the businessmen. The people that believed in little government. The people that believed in small government and let the invisible hand guide the market. These are the people that are leading the lynch mobs. So when you come to me and you say no government or less government intervention, I've already had a chance to look at or study what that looks like. And that's not a pretty picture. And I'm not going to rock with that.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just want to just intervene in this because as far as little government, I believe in little government as far as taxation. As a conservative, I mean, what you're saying is, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm not speaking for ABL, but I think me as a moderate conservative also, I look at, when I say little government, I'm talking about as far as spending on, let's say, refugees, immigrants, welfare. You know, I believe in, you know, little government spending and people working and the government investing their money on more of an infrastructure. That's what I think about when I say little government. But in that aspect where you're talking about, I can't debunk that at all. But I just wanted to give my point. I don't know if ABL feels the same way. But as conservatives, when you talk about little government spending, I'm thinking about we want more people working, more people living, less people living off the state. Like a lot of people taking advantage of the system.
Yes.
Less immigrants, right? Because I do like Trump for that. No, less immigrants. You know, people can't just be refugees in here, you know, taken away from the United States. And, you know, I'm paying taxes, you know, every year and everybody else is. And it should be going to better the country, the military, or whatever. That's me. But ABL, what did you want to say?
Okay, now West Virginia. Now, what was the argument made? Are you saying that the government regulation is what closed the coal mine? Did I hear that properly?
No, what I'm saying was this: when they had a system where there was no government regulation, there was widespread abuses.
What kind of abuses?
They own the houses that they were in. And if the people attempted to unionize, for example, the freedom of assembly, which is a constitutional right. Most niggas have made the Constitution into a fetish, so I'll give you a constitutional example. When they wanted to organize for a union, for better wages and shorter work days, the bosses would have the private security company come and snatch these people out their homes and throw them in the streets. They worked in those mines with no safety regulations, massive cave-ins.
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. I got your point. I got your point. I got your point. I need to just continue. I need to continue.
Go ahead.
Now,
then we're gonna go to Mac City after this. Go ahead.
All right. Now, I was born in West Virginia. My family can wait a minute. I'm not done. I was born in West Virginia. Wait, can I finish? Can I finish?
Yes, go ahead.
Now, I'm not done. I'm not done, sir.
You said okay, man. That's all. You said okay.
All right. I was born in West Virginia. My family, you could trace back to slavery in West Virginia. So I got family members that worked in the coal mine.
Wait, how did you know?
Worked in the coal mine. I'm not done. Okay, my great-grandfather worked in the coal mine for a long time. So I know about people that are coal miners. I know what you can get from coal mining. And I know what happened when you had more government regulation in the coal mines. What happened? They shut down. The EPA came and said, oh, we don't want to have this because you want to have more so-called clean energy. So the government regulation shut down the coal mine. Hillary Clinton went to Columbus, Ohio. I know you know about it. And she said, oh, we're going to put a lot of coal miners out of business. She said that in the town hall in Columbus, Ohio. And I got family there as well. Shout out to Columbus. Okay. So when you have more government regulation, you're going to have less innovation, less jobs. Like the government does not do things that the private industry does well. They don't outperform the private industry. So when you have less government intervention, less government regulation, you're going to have more private industry innovating. The government has no reason to innovate because they're going to get paid regardless. There's no incentive for them to grow. There's no incentive for them to do anything aside from just their task, which they are assigned by the government. They're going to get paid by your money anyway. But the private business, they have competition. They have other things that are out there. They got personal money on the line, shareholder money on the line. They have to perform and they must innovate. So when you're talking about more government intervention, more government regulation, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have less overall job opportunities for the average person. And let's talk about the FDA. The FDA has all kind of corruption in it. Like I said, the FDA, you may say is necessary, but at the same time, government entities do not really do well. Look at what's going on with the Veterans Administration, the VA. In California, you got people that are camped out, homeless veterans camped out by the VA, dying. They can't even get in there to get seen, and they're right there at the actual place, camped out in the tent is where they live, and they die right there. You got people that go to the VA, go inside, and die right there. So how are you going to tell me that the government is somehow... Are you saying the government is better than the private sector? Is that what you're saying or no?
What I'm saying is the government is needed to regulate the private sector. Do you have a Facebook account, Mr. Logan?
I do.
You have a Facebook account? Is Facebook run by the government?
No, it's not. Is
Mark Zuckerberg having some problems with Facebook right now?
He is.
Okay. So
and what's your point? What's your point?
No. I'm going to give you my point. You pointed out everything that was corrupt with the government, but there's nothing on the wall that says that the private sector isn't just as corrupt. Number one. Number two,
so is the private sector better or worse than the government?
You stepped over my whole entire point. My point is that government regulation is needed to keep these crooks in check. Now, if you want to sit here and make the cherry pick argument, there is not an institution on this planet that's free of corruption. Not one. Not even the damn church. Nothing is free of corruption. The good, the perfect, should not be the enemy of the good. So my point in mentioning the historical account of Matewan and of Mingo counties was to show you what happens when there's no government regulation. And while we talking about private enterprise, sir, do you know how most of the capitalists of the modern era, do you know how they were able to obtain their fortunes? Are you aware of that, sir?
Okay, hold on one second, guys. Hold on before you, because other people need to talk, right? So I want to do this. This is going on all night. Let me do this. Let's let Mac City Limits, the almighty Mac Triple XL. I'll let you guys go back because this is like a little heavyweight bout. We love to see it, but we got two other brothers on the panel. Let's let them talk. And Mac City, go ahead and weigh in whatever you want to weigh in on, brother.
I ain't got shit to say. Hey, I'm serious. I'm vibing, man. I'm just watching, I'm listening to ABL and Tony do that thing, man. So I'm kind of, vibing on that. So.
Let me get LAR movement involved. I'm trying to get everybody involved, man. But you get Tony and ABL, they mic bullies, man. When they get started, nigga, it's like pit bull. They let it go. All right, let's let my man LAR movement jump in there. Go ahead, LAR, brother.
I just don't want this to turn into one of those things where ABL mess around and start saying that the government is messed up because 70% of black people work for the government, so we need smaller government.
Nah. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying I make my point about the government not having any incentive to do better because they're gonna get paid regardless. There's no incentive. If you go get your money regardless, all you gotta do is go to work, show up, and do a task that is assigned to you. You have no incentive to actually innovate. And matter of fact, you actually can't do that because that's not really in your job description. You are there just to work, and that's it. If you go to the DMV, you're there to be an employee, and that's it. That's all you're there to do. You're not there to actually innovate the whole process. When you privatize, that's when you have more innovation because you have competition because you're competing either with other businesses or you're competing to stay afloat to make money because your money's not guaranteed by the federal government. The post office is losing money all the time. And if they were not backed by the federal government, it would be very hard for them to stay open if at all possible. You could look at FedEx, UPS, places like that. They're much better at being able to ship packages than USPS is. Matter of fact, if it were not for FedEx and UPS, there will be no USPS because a lot of their business at USPS now comes from FedEx and UPS being able to deliver the packages on the last leg.
Okay, I'm gonna interject on two things real quick. First, the innovation is not really true because what the government's thing about what they invest in the most is the military, and they figure out new ways to kill people all the goddamn time. Like they innovate new guns, new trucks, new technology, new everything, like new ways to spy on people that we use 20, 30 years later as regular technology. They innovate a lot.
A lot of that comes from the private sector. I knew people that work for like a private sector weapons company.
If it comes from the private sector, they're getting paid from the government, so they're working for the government.
Okay, but they're not a government entity. That's the point I'm
making.
Yes,
the hell they are because they get
government. No. Like, they're not a government entity.
Just like you talked about the post office, it's really a government entity. When they make profits, the government takes the profits. That's the issue with the government and the post office. That's how it works.
The post office is a government-run entity. It's a government entity. It's not a private sector.
It's actually literally both, like the private thing is. It's private and governmental at the same time.
How explain that, sir?
Because I worked there.
Okay, so how was it private? And in what way is it private?
Okay, well, the business model and the business entity, just like you talking about FedEx and everything, the post office usually delivers more mail in a day than FedEx or UPS does all year. So you have to have a bunch of privatized businesses to get to each location and locale, either way, in that demographic. It takes on this information, it harnesses out to everybody else. Then at the end of the day, when you make the money, the profits, the government takes those profits.
So the post office, they have people that they pay to do certain things, subcontractors.
Yeah, they do that too.
Okay, but it's still a government entity. But they pay subcontractors. So they sometimes they farm out
subcontractors and the business privately and the government part. You got to remember, you're talking about an entity that actually has the oldest police office in the country. It's a multitude of entities in one.
Okay, so if you have a subcontractor in the private sector, that is given a task to do by the post office, does it mean that that private subcontractor is part of the post office, or are they still in the private sector?
The private subcontractor could be FedEx.
Okay, so they're not in the government.
That's my point. Who owns FedEx's planes?
I don't know.
The government.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that they are a governmental entity. They're a private business.
So exactly. So they're not a governmental entity, but they own the planes that fly out all of the stuff.
It doesn't matter. They're still a private business.
So you're agreeing with me?
They're a private business. Yes, they're a private business. They're not a government business.
That has all of their stuff owned by the government. So they're both.
They're still private at the end of the day.
Okay, let me just do this real quick, guys. So one of the moderators, CG3, longtime supporter of the show, you might know him from BJ's Hangout. He wants to come on real quick to say something to ABL. But let me just do this real quick, guys.
We need
I want to move. I think Max said he left.
He did.
So that frees up somebody for CG3. So Max said he just said, "Fuck this shit. I'm getting the fuck up out of here." He ain't say goodbye or nothing. So we got 400, almost 500 people watching. That's a lot for this small channel. I don't know what it is, man. Like the last few weeks, I've been getting a lot of niggas on this channel, man. Maybe because my other channel is I took all the videos off. You niggas really.
Just 1 second.
I don't know what it is, man. Like the last few weeks. Oh, that's CG3 right there. Okay, so
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, dog. Shout out to CG3. Okay, hold on. Let me do some. Let me. That's my brother from Cali. Let me get Hey, he gonna fuck you up, dog. Just get ready, brother, because he gonna got some shit for your ass. Let me shout out to Lamar, Keep It Techie, Great Show Brothers. It all depends on what jobs you have within the government. There's a lot of I think he's saying into innovation in the technology sector within the government. Keep It Techie. JL Edwards, my brother. Tony, which economically ran better, the USSR or the USA? Laissez-faire inspire people to create things we need. Government controls limit people. So we'll let Tony ask that at a certain point, but not right now. Black Mike 313 off topic, but good luck on having my man come up with the penny stocks. I've been eating well, bro. Good luck. Yo, I'm bringing Sal back from the Great American Investor back onto the channel. Is a very smart brother, man. I'm gonna reach out to him today after the show. Donald Armstead. ABL has no balance to his arguments, which undermines his stances, even though he makes some good points. He seems as brainwashed as the liberal. So we're going to talk about that before I get up out of here. Is there a conservative plantation for, quote unquote, coons, just like there's like a liberal plantation for, you know what I mean? So we're going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a few people I've seen out there, man. I definitely would say there's a home for that shit in certain aspects. I can't, I'm a conservative, and I would say it's some shit. I'm like, look, and you already know what I'm talking about, ABL. There's a particular YouTuber that had a White Lives Matter shirt. I'm sorry, dog.
My friend, man. That's my friend.
I mean, bro, I'm just saying.
Don't get triggered at that shirt. That was the whole point of her wearing that shirt, for people to get triggered.
But I'm just, it's still. Got a damn legacy forever. Great show everywhere. Get the likes up. Young Link, yes, official. I did the research. Tony's a lawyer. ABL, just take this L in this debate, man.
Ain't no L.
$27, $10. Some odd soul. Respect to the River Goblin. That must be Bobby McTowell. I'm gonna subscribe to the Negro Master when I get off work. So let's go ahead and let brother CG3 go ahead, brother. Let's see CG3 weigh in on what he wanted to say.
Okay. Hello, panel. LAR.
What's happening, dude?
Appreciate you guys having me here. ABL, you made a statement earlier. You said something about the black community squandering money.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
When did the community as a whole get money? I'm confused on that.
You said what now?
When did the community as a whole get money?
I mean, I think we're talking about if we were to get reparations, what would be the result of it? So it's not about did we already get the money? It's about if we were to get it, what would happen?
No, but you made a statement saying the black community already squandered money. That's specifically what you said. I may be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that's what you said, sir.
You're incorrect.
Huh? I'm incorrect?
You're incorrect.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, so that's what it sounded like.
We're talking about reparations, and we were saying what would happen if we were to get it.
I think he was talking about when you said we had certain set-asides.
You said that we already had received money and had squandered it. So when we did receive reparation, what would we do with it? That's what I heard from you. Correct? I mean, you said I didn't hear it, so I heard wrong, right?
I mean, if I was talking about the money that we get, we don't spend it properly. I didn't say that we squandered it. That's different. We don't spend it properly. Like I was talking about reparations. What would happen? We would get the money and then squander it. But as far as what we get right now, we don't use it properly and we don't understand how to use it. That's two different things.
Okay, I understand it. So I'm gonna we're gonna play a hypothetical game. Play a game with me, ABL. Okay. So so I'm just assume that you said that the black community has squandered money, but people.
Why say that? Because that's not what happened.
We're playing a game.
What's the point of doing this? What's the point?
I'm trying to make a point. Can I flow with you, brother?
You're making a point based on something that didn't happen.
I just said that we're going to play a game. You don't want to do this? I can stop.
Okay, just go ahead.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I want you to flow with me. Let's flow together just for a minute. Okay. So I want to know if we were playing this game, if we didn't get reparation money, what type of money did we squander in general? What type of money does black people use wrong? That's what I want to know. So that's to be more specific, so I can understand. Because you say we don't use money right. How do we use it wrong?
Okay, now as far as us not using the resources that we have properly, we don't spend it amongst ourselves properly. We get it and we give it right back to the people that are supposedly the oppressors, the so-called white man. We don't bounce money. We oftentimes tend to go to places that are not black owned. When we could go to a black owned place, we say that it's better at a different place. That happened after integration, actually. We abandoned many of our own locations that we owned and operated. They go out of business because they're not being serviced by anybody. They're not being patronized by anybody. So the not spending money properly is that we don't spend it amongst ourselves. We spend it amongst other people and we don't purchase the appropriate things that we should be purchasing many times. But the main thing is just not spending it amongst ourselves.
Okay. I'm going to go along with your rhetoric, which sounds smart. How can you have a business when you're outpriced? So let's say we had a black business, right? And we start, for some reason, a more powerful business open next to us, Walmart, right? And no matter what, it makes no sense for if I'm overpriced and you can underprice, people are going to go underpriced. They don't even have the resources anyway. So how can you say in general that we even have black businesses because they get taken over by the big corporation?
Well, that's our choice to go to a place that is cheaper. So we need to make a choice to go to I've been in black business for a long time. And then it was a place I used to go to, or I still go to now, to get a lot of my print stuff done. I'm a graphic designer. I do a lot of big marketing stuff. And I would go to a place to get my stuff printed, big gang run stuff, 4x6, 6x8, whatever. I would go to a place that was black owned. I knew it would cost me more per job, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm not worried about just trying to save money by going to a white place. I would go to the black place and spend more money. I would actually do that. And I would go to multiple black places where I would spend more money because I knew what it would mean for us in the end. And this is when I was young, starting off doing this, 22, 23 years old. So to say that, because the place over here has higher prices, the black place, I can't go there because over here at the white place they have lower prices. That's an excuse and a cop out that I never really bought into myself personally.
Can I interject for 1 second and just say that this country is like $20 trillion plus in debt. So squandering money seems to be the American way. So it's not like it's just a black thing. I mean, the debt calculator is ever rising.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can actually get into debt in a positive way.
Yeah, I ain't gonna owe nobody money in a positive way.
Positive debt.
There is positive debt, yes.
ABL, whenever you have a chance, I want
you to hear you back. Go ahead, CD3.
Oh, I mean, whenever you have a chance,
I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick because I got it.
Okay.
I just want to know the positive debt shit.
So,
well, let's let CD3 talk real quick. We go to LAR. Go ahead, CD3.
It's all good. I'm just gonna make a statement, man. Whenever you have a chance, ABL, I want you to go back and listen to this chat because the statement I made at the beginning, you did say that, but I know you kind of backpedaled a little bit, and I'm cool with that because it's all good. Having this dialogue with you, let some of my steam go out because first I'm gonna say this. If the black community ever had a chance and we had a chance to work together and we had the same opportunities as everybody else, we would be on the same level as everybody else. So I'm not going to even talk about oppression that we know exists. I'm going to talk about having a chance. So now I'm not playing the victim or anything. Now we can do that, but it's up to us to do it. So that's the plan now, and hopefully we can move forward to it. I look forward to more dialogue with you, and I'm not going to just keep dwelling on you, but I want you to go back and listen to this chat and see what I'm talking about. And if I'm wrong, hit me up, say, hey man, I didn't say that, and I'll stand corrected. But I'm going to stand by the stance I made earlier.
All right. So I think I don't know if O'Shea's here, but I think somebody. Yeah, I think somebody wanted me to elaborate on the positive debt. Now, what I meant by that is if you're taking out a mortgage on the house that you are going to own in a certain period of time, especially if you have an inexpensive house in a good place, it's going to appreciate in value. That's definitely positive debt. If you have debt in a business that actually generates you revenue after a certain period of time, after you go from the red to the black to the green, that's positive debt. When you open a franchise like a McDonald's, you need to have $2 million in cash, liquid cash in your pocket to do that. And if you are on a good corner in a good part of the town, that's positive debt. You're not going to make all your money back right away, and you're going to be in debt for a moment. But after you start to get things going, you got your employees in there, you got your managers in there, you got your food going, the business is clicking, that's positive debt. It's called an investment. When you put money into stocks, you could look at that as debt in a way, because you don't have the money in your pocket. It's not liquid. You put it over here into this. You could go down into the red. You might even lose it, but at the same time, you may end up gaining money. It may make you money. So there is a thing called positive debts. When you're looking at the national debt, you're looking at all debts. You're looking at some bad debt like student loans, which are way too much when you're not making enough money to overcome it. Sometimes you can have a positive student loan debt. Let's say you go to an in-state school where you make an apartment where the tuition is like 20 grand a year, and you come out and you make 100 grand a year. Okay. So if you go to school for 4 years, it's 80 grand. And the first year you make your money back plus $20,000. That's positive debt. But if you have a student loan debt,
not ABL.
Wait, that is positive debt.
First of all, if you make $100,000, the taxes depends on most states don't have a state tax with federal tax. So that $100,000 is not gonna go to that student loan.
I'm talking about after taxes. I don't mean including your taxes that you gotta pay. I'm talking about your take-home pay that you make in your pocket, liquid cash. If you make 100 grand off of 20 grand of tuition for 4 years, that was an investment. You pay $80,000 and you made $100,000 in your first year after you graduated. So you had a net profit of $20,000. And then after that, you're able to make 100 grand and then keep going up and up and up. There's a thing called positive debt. If you have a student loan and that's like 60 grand a year and you $240,000 in the hole and you come home and work in the mall for $50,000 a year, that's bad debt. If you have a question. What's up?
Define positive debt for me again.
I just did it right now. I mean, you didn't hear me?
No, please.
I just did it right now. Did you not hear what I was saying?
Oh, you said a debt is a debt. A debt is a debt. Either it's a debt. That's it. Now it can be an investment, but it's still a debt. There's no such thing as positive debt. You just have debt, and then you can make money, and then you pay your debt off. Now that you can say it was an investment, but it's still a debt. So there really is no such thing as a positive debt. That's an ignorant statement. It's a debt.
Why is it ignorant? It's positive because it's going to help you.
The reason why
it's positive because look, like it's one thing to have debt on your back you can't pay. It's one thing, like I said, if you go to school and you got student loans, 60 grand a year, $40,000 for the whole 4 years, and you come home and you work in the mall, making $15,000, you're not gonna be able to pay that debt off. It's gonna be on your back. It's gonna be a hinge. It's gonna be a negative thing in your life. But if you go to school, you take out a loan, 20 grand a year. At the end of the 4 years, you made 80,000. That's a total debt. You come home and get a job, make $100,000 a year. You are able to pay that debt off, in theory, within 1 year. Plus 20 grand.
Hold on, but AB, I'm gonna answer your question to a degree. I'm gonna keep it short though. First and foremost, the situations you talking are exceptions and not the rule, and that's a problem for the positive debt thing. The second thing is to call it positive debts already implies that debt ain't positive.
Nah, but you're taking what I'm saying. You're taking what I'm saying in a different way. You're taking what I'm saying as far as I see what's happening. You're taking what I'm saying as far as saying positive, negative. No, I'm saying positive as in good.
Okay, positive as in good, but that positive is still an exception to the rule.
Not all the time, because you get people that invest all the time and it works out. And restaurants, small business.
It's 300 million plus people in this country. The bulk of them in debt. They all are in. They're in debt. There ain't no positive debt to it.
Jesus Christ! Well, I mean, I don't understand why it's so hard to understand. This is very simple.
Well,
if you go into debt,
let me use your own example, Mr. Logan. You said a mortgage. You said a mortgage. I think you used a mortgage as an example of positive debts.
Yes.
Do you remember what happened in 2007?
Nah, I mean that's a different story.
Mortgage. No.
That's a different. You see, because that's a matter of
no.
Nah, okay, you asked me a question. You asked me a question. Let me answer. You asked me a question. Let me answer. You asked me a question. You asked me a question. Let me answer.
Let him finish.
All of your scenarios. I noticed every single one of your scenarios began with if. Every single scenario began with if.
What's your point?
And if you're talking, here's my point. Let me finish. If you're talking about debt and if, it is speculative. And if it's speculative, like Mr. Charles said, it is neither positive nor negative. It's just a debt. It is not a positive debt unless it brings a return of interest.
That's what I was talking about.
You use the mortgage crisis. You use the mortgage as an example of debt. But that mortgage, what you're saying, my point is that in the scenarios that you're using, all of that is speculative. So you can't use that as an example of positive debt. You can't use any of that because the conditions or the payoff depend on a particular set of circumstances. You were talking about student loans. There's no guarantee that after you get out of college, you're going to be able to get a 6-figure salary. There's no guarantee that if you invest in something, it's going to yield anything.
I don't understand.
What I'm saying is you made these examples about positive debt. And Mr. Charles said that debt is just debt. And I'm agreeing. Debt is just debt. There's no such thing as positive debt because what you're saying depends upon a specific amount of conditions that usually don't take place.
Look, man, I don't understand much how I understand. You got a situation where you go into debt and it will actually work out well for you in the end. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about
that's the whole point.
Positive. Wait a minute. I'm not done. I'm not saying positive as an opposite of negative. I mean, y'all just looking too deep into it. You're trying to discredit what I'm saying. What I'm saying is really simple. People in the chat understand it. It's not that hard to understand. Like we smart guys here. You're able to understand what I'm saying. Sometimes you're able to go into debt and it works out well. I'm not saying all the time it's always what happens, but sometimes it does happen. And everybody knows I'm right.
I agree with that. What you're saying work out well, that's cool. But it's not positive that it's just debt that turns out good.
We're saying the same thing. You're trying to harp on the word positive.
I'm not harping, dude. That's cool. I get you.
I want to say this real quick. ABL, it's funny, man, because you word play and act like certain things, certain times, and then when you want somebody to get it, well, you guys know a word, understand what you're talking about.
No, because the word positive has different meanings.
You don't do that, man.
No. The word positive has different meanings. They're trying to just look at the one meaning of the word positive and just harp on that.
Okay,
the word positive has
greater detail.
I'm looking at the example you gave.
Okay.
You used the mortgage. I didn't. You used student loans. I didn't.
And what's your point about
showing you the point is that your scenario, if you're using that to prove your point, that is against your point. And
why is it against my point?
Because it
doesn't work out.
Because
it doesn't work out the way you're projecting it. It doesn't work out. That's why we're in a mess with student loan debt, because it hasn't worked out.
I didn't say always. That's why I didn't say always. You're looking at examples of when people take out a bad student loan.
If you didn't say always, why would you use 20% of the scenarios to extrapolate over a general argument?
I'm not saying, look, you guys, do you guys have autism or what? I don't understand why it's so hard to understand.
No, I think you have autism. No, I think you have autism.
He doing the same shit, spinning his words and shit. It's like, do he don't have autism like a motherfucker because he does the same exact shit?
Am I just? I think it's
ABM.
He does the same shit.
ABM.
That's one at you, brother.
ABM.
What is happening?
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
In the words of ABL,
hold on.
In the words of ABL, I ain't worried about you niggas.
I ain't worried about you niggas. Exactly. That's what the nigga said on the show.
But look. Here's what I'm saying. I'm just saying sometimes there's examples of when debt can work in your favor. I'm not saying that always, all the time. I say it from the beginning. Sometimes you could have positive debt. Y'all went into that and saying, oh, it's negative, so how can it be positive? When positive could mean a good thing. It could be a good thing when you go into debt sometimes. Sometimes the debt you go into can pay off. That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I described. I'm not trying to do anything else other than to say that. It's very simple to understand. I don't understand why it's even an argument.
You clarified it.
And you getting some action.
That's what I've been saying the whole time.
Who talking about strip clubs?
That's what I'm saying. Positive debt is like taking $200 to the strip club and hoping you're gonna get some.
Well, I can't tell my story about Brazil. Go ahead. Let's see 3 way in on what he's about to say, because y'all gonna make this to be a Patreon episode talking about tricking and shit. But go ahead on, man, because
ABL, I understand. You didn't phrase it like that before, and now I
did. I've been saying the same thing the whole time.
Brother, I didn't overtalk you. I let you speak. Let me speak, please, sir. All I'm saying is I understand. I understand now, so I get you. I'm sorry for the miscommunication before the way you stated it. I didn't understand, but you clarified it, so now we can dialogue. So
let me just go. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let me cut you off.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead. This is your show, not mine.
No. I'm just because I'm cool. You know, ABA got that bully gene in me and shit, man. Got me cutting niggas off and shit, dog. You know, that's what he does, dog. So
ABL is great at wordplay, but I like wordplay. So I'll just ask you, what do you mean by that? And that's what you understand. I mean, explain. And then you'll be like, didn't you understand? Come on, dude. I just asked you a question.
ABL be doing that fuckery all the time, dog. All the time.
If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer you. And if I don't know, I'm going to say, I'm ignorant, sir. I don't know. Let me think about it. Let me get back. I'm not going to try to belittle you. I'm not going to try to use rhetoric to make you seem like I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't do that, dude. That's not cool.
That was an ad hominem, though. So technically, when you use the ad hominem, you have lost the debate.
Okay, but I think everybody in the chat knows that I won, so it don't even matter.
Oh, no, because you can't use an ad hominem attack autism. Saying people have autism, that is an ad hominem.
Well, I didn't say anybody had it. I was just asking if they did.
It sounds like you have autism.
Damn, this nigga ain't shit.
I'm just saying. That's all.
It sounded like.
Oh God. Okay, let me ask you this real quick, guys. I'm gonna start with let's go to Tony, and then we'll start with CG3 since he's in LER, and then because I got a class in like six hours. So I just want to do this real quick, right? Because everybody's like, yo, Kanye West is shaking up the Democratic plantation. Okay, because he is quote unquote free thinking. Okay, is there a Republican coon plantation? Does it exist? Why you smiling? Why you laughing, dog?
You're a funny guy. That's all.
No, I'm just saying we got to put it out there. I might be on there with you. Shit, I've been called that plenty of times on this panel. So let's talk about there's a Republican, there's a Democratic plantation, and is there a coon nigga plantation? Let's let Tony Maceo break that down. We can go to everybody on here. ABL, I'm curious to what you have to say about this. But let's go with Tony Maceo. Let's say, is there such thing as a coon plantation, brother?
I don't like using that word. I don't like using that word.
Okay.
Is there a plantation? Do both sides have? Of course they do.
Okay.
Of course they do. They're different sides of the same coin. One just curses and spits at you, and the other one makes sure that you're always in a position to call him dad. One power tricks you, and the other one curses and spits at you. So both sides have plantations. It's just how they treat you. One is gonna kiss you before you leave, and the other one just gonna nut in your face and kick you out the door.
Let's talk about in what ways though, right? Because I know I'm using my ABL mindset. What ways, and when you talk about the one that curses and spits at you, are you referring to like conservatives or Republicans?
I'm referring to the reactionary wing of the conservative party, because there are many different strands of conservatism. I learned that there's a such thing as a progressive conservatism. There's a such thing as a moderate conservatism.
Okay.
There are many different strands. What I'm talking about is that reactionary ring of conservatism.
Okay.
That type of, rule by the few conservatives, that no rules on anything type of conservative. So yes, they have their plantations, and there are black people on those plantations. Now, when it comes to the Democrats, yes, I'll give you an Obama phone. Yes, I'll give you some trinkets, but I never want you to be in any position to be able to compete with me. See, I never have a problem if I'm dealing with white people. If I'm dealing with them from the perspective of working with them, it's when they have to work for me. And that's the problem that I have with Democrats or liberals or Democrats or whatever you want to use, is the inability to share power and status. Mm-hmm. So both of them have the ultimate, have the same goal, which is control. They just express it differently. One side will give you more trinkets to keep you in a subservient position, while the other side just tells you, look, I don't like you anyway, fuck up out of here.
Okay.
So that's the way I see it.
Okay, let me ask you another question, right? Because me and you talked, because I would consider you, Tony, as a moderate conservative. Am I right?
I don't use the word conservative at all. I always say I'm a pragmatist. I'm for that which is practical. So if a Republican person has a practical issue, I'm for it. Now, for example, I like Colin Powell. I thought Colin Powell should have been president, not Barack Obama, because Colin Powell is socially liberal but fiscally conservative. Mm-hmm. So I would be with Colin Powell on his issues with respect to military spending, with respect to domestic policy and foreign policy. I was more in his camp than I was with Obama. So my point is, anything that works, I'm with anything that works, that is not wasteful, that is not unnecessary burdensome to the public.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because me and you have talked about, and after this I'll wrap it up. I know it's getting late. Everybody got to work tomorrow. So this is what I want to say. Me and you talked offline about why black conservatives are why they become conservatives, right? And you gave certain characteristics of black conservatives of why they become that way. Let's talk about that real quick. We want to see if ABL fits not him personally, but why do a lot of blacks become conservatives in the first place? You have a pretty good theory on this, and I want to see if Kanye West is going to fit the bill a little bit on this, but let's talk about this because you're kind of bringing out some good points.
There are many different reasons. I'm sorry.
Tony. Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, because I want to build. This is going to be controversial.
There are many different reasons for why black people became conservatives. It was the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party why they became conservatives. It was liberal hypocrisy as to why they became conservative. And also the culture wars that go on in the black community, what I call the swag wars that go on in the black community. It's no one particular reason. There are several reasons. Generally, in our culture, we have these types of what I call tend to be nigger rituals that are intended to validate our humanity, that ends up really isolating us from the people that would help us. And then when you combine that a lot with liberal Democratic Party politics, you send some of the very people that could be productive into the community into this gospel of, low regulation, no government hands, small government, and all that type of stuff, supply side economics and the free market, which is really not free, but that's another discussion. Okay. But it tends to be the culture wars in the black community. It tends to be the poverty in the black community. Nobody wants to be associated with what they think is a loser. So what they're doing is a lot of times they're not endorsing the conservative politics of a Booker T. Washington. They're not endorsing the conservative politics of a Marcus Garvey or of a A.G. Gaston.
Right.
They're not endorsing that conservative politics. They're coming with the reactionary conservative politics of the Koch brothers. That's the type, Dick Armey and Freedom Works. That's the type of Republican Party politics that they're coming with. And that's not a type of politics that is sustainable for the general body populace of society. Okay. So if you come into me with a Washingtonian view of conservatism that says control industrial, the means of the controlling industry. Damn, I can't talk. Control of industry, control of technology, education and sciences, and building your own communities. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you come into me with that same old, low government regulation, just so another motherfucker can steal, nah, I'm not with that.
Okay. Let me do this right, because I'm building up to a point. And shout out to everybody that's been super chatting. Let me actually read those real quick. So I'm building up to a point here because a lot of people are saying, like, I've heard Anthony Brian Logan say that a lot of blacks are attacked because they're conservative, they have a conservative viewpoints, and they get a lot of pejorative messages pointed out to them because they're expressing their opinions. So, this is why I'm kind of coming at it. Let me just do this. BB says ABL is used to talking to his low-educated racist followers. His entire platform is made off of sharing negative images of black folks he's lost. Josiah Johnson, Republicans look for a black voice to champion or say what they can't say because we know of their dirt while black Democrats act out. Shout out to Josiah. Mark is the realist. SMH, positive debt is a real thing. ABL is right. JD Orca, $10 super chat. Josiah, again, how many blacks have been able to touch generational wealth since 1940 and up, or obtain land before the Homestead Act? They needed to make a law. Search for who? White is right. ABL. He was a quote. White is right. Blacks need to get into crypto now. It's time. Blackman 313. BB, ABL needs to actually work in policy rather than regurgitate Breitbart articles. He isn't discussing conservatism. It's entertainment. Okay, so let me go to LARMOVEMENT real quick. Because here's the argument that Kanye West is saying, because, I'm free thinking now. I'm thinking for myself. Y'all are attacking me. And so do you think, again, this is there such thing as a coon, and then we're going to go to CD3 next. Is there a coon plantation where you have, the people like they talk about, like, I heard Candace Owens mentioned. I've been included in that. ABL, ABL's on the Black 10's most hated Negro list on YouTube. Is there such a plantation for these blacks who are just, let's say, bootlicking on white booty and all this shit, and they're just, so since Kanye West is getting off the Democratic plantation, is he hopping over to the coon plantation just to get white support? Do you think that's what it is? And is there such a plantation? LARMOVEMENT.
I ain't gonna do the coon part of it. I see you stirring the pot though.
I gotta do it. I mean, because I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't.
There's a Republican or conservative plantation. I don't see what the big deal is if people act like it's not. You can't call yourself a free thinker when you're regurgitating a talking point someone gave to you. Mm-hmm. So that goes on the liberal side and the conservative side. You can't say you're following the liberal rhetoric, so you're on the liberal plantation, and you turn around and say something conservative has been saying for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You're not actually thinking for yourself. You're regurgitating their talking point. Now, as far as, I guess when we talk about black conservatives in particular, they do have a habit of whatever white folks say who may be more prejudiced, they will agree with them even if they're wrong. And they will excuse them being wrong. Like if somebody is black and a liberal and you say, look, you're defending liberalism a little too much. Like we're not supposed to be saying, it's okay for a guy to go in a woman's bathroom in a dress. You're just cooning for the liberals now. Well, the same goes when you're on the other side. He deserved to be shot 72 times just because he was, how dare that motherfucker sip Dasani water in front of Walmart? What kind of shit is that? He deserved it. Like, it doesn't really make sense all the time, okay? And if you gotta make an argument to make sense, to make your talking point, you're on the plantation. Because whether you're a liberal or a conservative, say something that doesn't agree with the liberal or conservative policy, they're going to disown you because you were thinking for yourself. Just in my opinion.
Oh, that is. Okay, it's a good point. Let me go to the CG3. ABL. What you want? You ready right now, ABL?
I'm ready whenever you're ready, boss.
Okay, let's go ahead and get to you, man, because you go ahead. What you got to say?
All right. Now, this whole thing about the Republican conservative plantation, I think one point that is not being said here is that the Democratic plantation, the reason why I say that is because it's a place that you cannot escape. And if you try to escape, that's when you get attacked, you get paraded, you get treated like you are somehow insane, like something's wrong with you, like you need to take medication. You got all kind of people that come out against you, your so-called friends, so-called family. It's like this whole big tear down. People want to disown you. People want to threaten to kill you. Like Daz Dillinger, he didn't say, oh, Crips come out and kill Kanye. He said, you know, go F him up or whatever. But you know how these gangbangers are, O'Shea. When you say something like that, Crip alert, you already know where their mind is going to go. They're going to say, maybe I should kill Kanye. Just like you had the Soulja Boy video where he was playing around with that gang stuff. Yeah. What did you say in that video? You were saying, hey, maybe one of these guys from the opposite side might just kill him to make a point. And these guys don't think really clearly. A lot of these dudes are just running off of pure adrenaline. They're just going to do that just on the strength. So when you threaten somebody's life, that is Democratic plantation. When you can't leave, when you can't have any kind of free thought. Now, as far as
you get treated like Michael Steele.
Say what now?
You get treated like Michael Steele.
How did he get treated?
They
anyway, as I was saying, the thing about the
you gonna ask him, and then you gonna say anyways.
I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna move on.
Autism.
Now, as far as now, I'm making good points. People want to laugh and all that, but I'm making good points. Everybody knows that. Anyway, as I was saying, now on the other side, when you are, what I want to talk about, people say that, you were just talking about certain points that have already been made. You're just repeating things that you've heard. It's okay to repeat certain things that you heard. Like if you are reading a book and then you start to say things from that particular book, doesn't mean that you're wrong for taking the information and utilizing it in your everyday life. And the thing about Kanye is that he's not just talking about things that are so-called conservative. Matter of fact, on his Twitter, he came out and said that he's not prepared to call himself a conservative yet because he's not really all the way familiar with it. He's just putting ideas out there. He said that he's looking up everybody. Linda Sarsour, who is an extreme, super far leftist in New York, a Muslim woman, Palestinian. He's looking at Emma Gonzalez, who is staunchly anti-gun. So he's not just somebody that's just talking about things that you would see on Breitbart or something like that. He's somebody that's examining everything to see what he aligns with. He's an open-minded person. That's what free thinking is all about, being open-minded. Now, there are some people that just might subscribe to what they look at from one website and that's it. And that's fine. But the difference between the left and the right is if you're on the right and you say things that don't really align with the right, people not going to do what is happening to Kanye West, which is threatening your life and something and things like that. When Tommy Lahren came out and said that she supports the freedom of choice when he's talking about abortion, she's actually pro-choice. People don't know that. There was a little bit of people talking about, I don't associate with her anymore on Twitter, but it didn't go further than that. You didn't have anybody come on television talking about it from her past, friends from childhood and stuff like that, celebrities, nobody threatened her life. But on the opposite side, you see what's happening to Kanye West. And the thing that's happening to him, people can pretty much attribute to that their own personal experiences. I've had people contact me personally talking about they've had experiences not quite to that extreme because they're not celebrities, but family members disown them. They are scared to talk about being a conservative in public because they don't want to have anybody do something to them. So that's what it means when you're talking about the Democratic plantation. And on the other side, that same level of shaming, that same level of you got to stay here or else does not exist. And if it does, I'll let somebody to prove it to me.
Okay, here's the thing, ABL. She got fired by the Blaze. Okay.
Okay.
That. So here's the thing.
She got fired, but nobody threatened her life.
I mean, so
most mass shooters are conservatives, aren't they?
I mean, here's the thing, like this. When you get off the plantation, the thing about it is that there are repercussions, right? And here's my danger thing about because you have some blacks that are there. She got fired, okay,
But she got fired. But look, she got fired. She got fired because
actually on the Blaze. She interviewed you.
Listen, that's why I'm gonna speak on it because I was there. Nobody else was there. I was there. The reason why she got fired was much deeper than that. She was going to leave anyway because the Blaze was sinking shape. They went bankrupt. Glenn Beck didn't have any money. She wanted to leave anyway. They wanted her to part ways. They fired her because of that, because it did not align with their company's principles. You can get fired for that, regardless of whether you're in politics or not. If you go to a place and you say a certain thing on social media, you could be working at FedEx loading boxes and they might fire you for saying something that's contrary to what the company agrees with just because of that. You don't have to be in a political thing. So like that's separate. And then the thing is, nobody threatened her life. Nobody came. It wasn't a personal thing. Nobody threatened her life. Nobody came from her past talking about, I remember her doing this, this, and this. There was not this whole big shaming thing. She lost her job in the way that many of the people that are watching this right now could lose their job if they come out and say certain things. People come up to me all the time and say, hey, I watch you all the time, but I can't comment. Why? Because I don't want my job to see it, because I don't want to get fired. Okay. It's not even about necessarily being on the so-called plantation on the right. It's about things that you say that your employer does not agree with that they may fire you for. That's why she got fired.
Well, you make some good points about this, but I can say this. Immediately or very shortly after she made those comments, she was fired. Because if all of those things were going out, then they should have gotten written there before.
But my point, I made my point pretty well that it could have been anything. Like people get fired from their job for saying things that their employer doesn't agree with. It's not a matter of being on the so-called plantation. And like I said, nobody threatened her life. Nobody came from her childhood and her past talking about her on television. The way people are coming out against Kanye.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if those threats are actually fulfilled, then you would have a point. But they're most likely not going to be fulfilled. I know for a fact that she was fired after she made those remarks. And it's just let me finish. It just goes to show that if you're on the right and we all know that pro-choice is something that most, especially I would say, a lot of conservatives, they're heavily. That's one of the strongholds of the conservative platform is not being pro-choice. And so she was not able to express herself without repercussions because of that. Because she wouldn't have been if she had all those issues.
She's on Fox now, though. That's better than Blaze.
She's on. Well, we're not. The situation is not about her being on Fox. She is on Fox, which I agree. She probably would have been on Fox, but she did suffer. And I think wasn't she trying to sue them for a minute? The person?
Yeah, because like I said, like you guys, I know the whole situation. What happened was she was going to leave anyway. It was things going on behind the scenes that were aside from the comments that she made. The comments that she made were just something that could happen to anybody, regardless of political affiliation. So you can't use that as an example of somebody getting mistreated because they're on a Republican plantation. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There was more things going on behind the scenes other than what you saw.
But
I was there, nobody else was there, so I know.
So I mean, you were there. How you were there on a show before? Or you were there in the room
I was there on the show, and I spoke to her about it.
Okay, so she was. What we do know is she was let go shortly after those comments.
Okay, know that. But you're going over the same point over and over. But your point is that
she was going to leave. She was. Where's her 2-week notice? Okay. Well, why didn't she quit? None of these things happen. It's hearsay, and then again, I'm gonna explain. No, wait, hold on. I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish, bully. Bully. Pejorative. What we gotta say is this: she should have, would have, could have, didn't. She was let go. That's a fact. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna tell you.
She didn't do it. The fact is, she was terminated.
That's not even what. That's not.
She was terminated. Shortly after those controversial statements were out. Okay? You can say all of these things.
You don't know the story.
But what I'm saying is, you can say all of these things. If all of these things, and then to me, then the question I'm asking is, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you? Where's your 2 weeks notice? If all these things were happening, they were going bankrupt. But then why were you there on that show that day? So she was there on that show that day because she didn't have any other opportunities or job at the time.
Wrong.
Well, what?
She was under contract, sir. You're under contract. You got to be there. You can't. It ain't like a regular
getting ready to leave. Well, that's what I'm saying. If she's under contract, if she's getting ready to leave, and you're under contract, then how does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense. What you're talking about right now, does it? No, because you can't be on contract. I'm getting ready to leave. When did the contract end? ABL? Do you know?
See, okay, I'm gonna explain to you what was going on. Now, like I said, they were going under. They had all kind of scenes, all things behind the scenes. People were having problems with her behind the scenes, working with her. Maybe it was them, maybe it was her. I don't know. Okay. And then the comments came out. That was just something that Glenn Beck didn't want to deal with. But she was still actually employed by the Blaze for a long time after the so-called public firing. She was employed like 6 months after that. It was a battle where she sued them to get out of the contract. And she also had to get her social media stuff back because the Blaze own a social media. They own their Facebook page, I think maybe even the Twitter page. So the reason why she brought them to court was to get hold of that, because they were trying to say that since we built you up on our platform, then we own our social media as well. So that's why she was in court. See, it's on corporate stuff. It's not even about the so-called plantation. You're using the example that doesn't make any sense and does not compare to what happened to Kanye West. Kanye West, it was more of a personal thing people came out against him with. With her, it was a business thing, and that can happen to anybody regardless of your political affiliation. So you're using this example. It's wrong in this case, but I'll move on.
I can't say that it's wrong because you're talking about threats and names and all that stuff. It absolutely means nothing unless those things are carried out. I mean, at least, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody's threatening anybody.
Kanye West is not losing his livelihood behind those things. He's not you're not losing any money or anything like that, right? This lady is losing her livelihood. And then also, what's this guy? Who remembers the guy from Breitbart? I mean, let's talk about
she didn't lose her livelihood because she was still getting paid and she got hired by Fox after that.
What's this guy? What's this guy? The gay dude that got fired from Breitbart? What's this guy's name? Milo Yiannopoulos.
Milo, yeah.
So here's what I gotta say, right? And this is what I want to say also. As when it comes to blacks, there are certain black conservatives. It seems like, who the fuck is calling me and why? Yeah. Stop the show. Oh, this nigga calling me. Why, nigga? You wait till I get on the show. This is what I want to say about this particular conservative. This is like Pastor Mark Burns. There are certain black people, man, that any given chance, I feel, I'm not calling anybody, but Mark Burns has got to be one of these guys. Seems like you have certain blacks who are like trying to just whatever they can to defend anything that maybe a white conservative would say. You have these guys like on the front line all the time, like whatever it is against like, the black community or something like that. It sounds like, I will use that. Not saying that it is, but it sounds like you have certain dudes and women who are like that, just like you have on the other side. But I'm going to just say this real quick because it's getting too late. It's 5:46. Let me let my man CG3 weigh in on it real quick. And I'm about to get the hell up out of here. Go ahead, CG3. What you got to say?
Man, truthfully, it doesn't even matter because all I care about is who's going to represent us. So you got people that look like us, and people that don't look like us, and people that's going to be on both sides from Democrats and the Republicans. So I just look for people who represent the black community, and it matters not. As long as they're positive and trying to help us move towards a better place, then I'm for them. The people that are detrimental for us, I separate from. It seems that a lot more the term you use are in the Republican Party, but that's just from my observation, which is not conclusive or researched.
Okay. So I just want to say, listen, y'all, this is a great hangout. Almost 3 hours. Like LAR movement, me and him talked about it. We know it's gonna turn into a great all-star cast. CG3, you are more than welcome to come back, man. I know you participate more on the BGS hangout. Shout out to BGS, but y'all start opening it up. Dynasty Amir, I don't know why he's just in the comment section, but he should be on the hangout right now. But he just
he don't want that work. He don't want that work.
I would love to work. I would love to have more chances to talk to ABL so I can understand him better. I need to check out more of his content to see where he's coming from. I think I would enjoy a dialogue with you, brother.
Yeah. ABL is an interesting dude, man. Show him the plaque that you won. Show him the plaque for the Negro Manosphere political. Right. Show him again, dog.
There you go, right there. Shout out to everybody that voted for me. I appreciate y'all. I won this. The contenders were myself, Brandon Tatum, and my man David Carroll. Great YouTubers, but I was able to win. Shout out to all you who voted me in. I really, really appreciate you. And shout out to O'Shea for sending me this nice, high quality plaque. You see it. It ain't no thin paper stuff. This is real wood. I'm going to put this on my wall in my house. So shout out to O'Shea for this, for sure.
Actually, I didn't even vote for your ass, nigga.
I still won. Don't matter.
Here's what I want to say though. Despite all the people trolling in the comments, Anthony Brian Logan won that poll by a landslide. It wasn't even close. I think the next person that was next to him was like, he beat everybody by like 90 votes. So it's a lot of people who maybe they voted for you because that's who they see here all the time, but it wasn't close. It wasn't close at all. I think it was the category that Alpha Male Strategies won, which was the up and coming YouTuber of the newcomer of the year. He won by a landslide. And then I think a category that you had was the most dominant, like you won by 100 votes, something like that.
There it is.
So man, whatever.
Sounds like.
I mean, you still suck. I mean, I didn't like nobody like you or nothing.
Shout out to everybody in the chat who supports me. I really appreciate y'all.
It's a lot of people who actually may like him more so than we actually want to admit. So, Liza Jeans, very important foremost, Shay. Thank you very much from Canada. Thank you so much, man. Let's let everybody just get the last one thing and say what they got to say and get the hell up out of here. I'm tired as hell. Y'all got to get up in like 5 hours. So let's shout out to LAR. You gonna show them your plaques too, bro? I mean, you got to show off. You still got to.
They're in another room right now.
Damn. Okay. So let's start out with LAR Movement, man. LAR, man, let everybody know where they can find you at, brother, and all that.
Just LAR Movement on YouTube. It's always been a pleasure. I'm glad to be on the panel. Autism. Listen, Marcus, listen, just because we voted for him doesn't mean we love him. And moderator, I promise you guys, right? Moderator awards coming in June. I promise y'all, moderator awards is going to be crazy. Moderator awards coming is going to be so. I'm going to do something so crazy for the moderator. I love the moderators, right? Let's go to my man Tony Maceo. I owe Tony Maceo Newcomer of the Year, Editor's Choice Award. I owe him one. And then he also split it with Best Pre-Recorded Podcast with Mag City Limits. Best podcast here in Black YouTube, in my opinion. Let them know where they can find you at, Tony.
You can find me at poweredstrategy.com and also on the YouTube channel Powered Strategy, like me on Facebook. And you can find me on the Negro Manosphere every Tuesday where I drop my articles for Negro Manosphere, and that's where you can find me. And cocaine's a hell of a drug. Thank you very much.
And shout out to Tony Maceo, man. We're gonna be doing some work because he actually we want to talk about the AG Gaston. I heard of AG Gaston because of his hotels, but I didn't know exactly the story behind it. But he actually really laid something out to me that we want to talk about. So Tony, you gotta get with me so we can do that show. And then CG3, you're not a YouTuber, you're actually a moderator. But you should have a YouTube. You do have a channel, actually. Look yes, at ABL. Look at it. You see him. Look.
I'm just chilling, man. I'm just don't mind me, man. I'm chilling.
Truthfully, if you come check out my page, you might laugh a hell of a lot. My name is Super Troll #1, Pookie Ray Ray Gilmore, and I have a lot of fun. And I also have an Instagram called Fun with CG3. Come check it out. I'm telling you, I'm more fun than you know. I'm telling you this.
Oh man. All right. And then last but definitely not least, man, my brother LAR Movement, man, I would say he's like a really probably
ABL. It's ABL.
ABL?
Yeah.
ABL, great ABL.
All right. Thank y'all for having me. Definitely appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Hopefully everybody that's out there got what I was trying to say. Had a few detractors, but it's all good. I understand how that goes. I'm not even really worried about that. Those who want to learn are going to learn. And anybody that's kind of on the fence, kind of right in the center, hopefully you come to my side, the correct side, and leave the side that you're on right now. That'd be fantastic. But if you don't, that's okay too. I'm not gonna try to shoot you or beat you up like that. Dylan tried to do to Kanye. It is all good. We can all think differently, and it's fun. It's fine. But you can find me on my website, AnthonyBLogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN. You can also find me on my YouTube page, youtube.com/ALOG. That is ALOGE. Subscribe to that. I do live shows every Wednesday and Saturday, and I put out just pre-recorded stuff all throughout the week. And that's all I got.
Man. So one day, oh shit, can you do a call-in show for ABL? Somebody, hey, ABL, do you know how to use loopback?
What is that? I never heard of that before.
Okay, but you got to help me find out because we're trying to do the brother like the. Can we do a call-in show? Can we do a hangout like this with a call-in show like you can't do that, huh? You use Skype or OBS?
Well, as far as a hangout, I don't know. Like when my call-ins, I use Skype and I use OBS to hear the desk. Like if you can hear your desktop audio, then you can use Skype. But I'm not really sure if the people that are listening to the show can hear your desktop audio. But if they can, you can use Skype.
Because we want to do it like Blog Talk Radio. I have a Blog Talk Radio account, but I don't know how to sync it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about Blog Talk Radio. I don't do that. I think you got to holler at Steve. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So to my brother LAR Movement, still moving. Go ahead, let them know where they can.
I'm done, man. Just LAR Moving at YouTube. I'm gonna be over here hating on ABL.
Autism. The nigga said, y'all got autism? Yeah, Edwards. Oh shit, economic podcast in the future. Yes, man. Actually, to definitely remind me on that one because all of that. Well, look, I just gotta thank everybody, man. It was a great show. A lot of people supported. Guys, thank you for the support. We are a small, a black owned, Negro owned business, right? Your Patreon support, your donation support. You see the awards the brothers is getting. We do this, just off of what we get from the super chats and from the Patreon. We try to get brothers and build things on stuff. Shout out to all the moderators. The Brother Pill is not coming out until next month. So June. So we're gonna have a new season next June. We're gonna probably go June to like September, something like that. So guys, thanks everybody. What up, JJ Green? Shout out to Marcus Love. He wrote an excellent article on NegroMansfer.com. Hey man, NegroMansfer.com is a shit. Again, there is the beach party again for the brothers in November. I just want you guys to know that I will probably be back in Brazil in November. And so we will start doing certain type of meetups and stuff like this. If it's not in Brazil, we will be probably going through tailor-made drinks for brothers to meet up in like Dominican Republic, which is a lot cheaper. So we will be doing stuff. We all gonna meet out, give you niggas some time to get your, your money together. CG3, he got all the money already, so he ain't really tripping like that. It was sending you niggas be catching the bus to Dominican Republic across the water on a Greyhound with a life jacket on. So we are going to get into stuff like that, right? We got contacts in both countries. So if we're going to, rest in peace, Charles Tyler. I actually went to, like I said, to Brazil. I will be uploading the video in the next 2 days of how to travel, how to get a cell phone, all those things when you're there. So we will be having these little meetups and stuff like that. But y'all niggas, I don't like to hang around you niggas all day. So if I do meet you niggas, do not be knocking on my hotel. In fact, I'm not going to tell none of you niggas where I'm staying at because I don't want you niggas coming to my shit. Because some of you niggas are crazy and be stalking me like that. I can't fuck with y'all. So anyway, so we will have some things, man, that's going to be going down. Thank you guys for making the site what it is, man. Thank you guys for reading every day. We got over 700 some articles, 4 free ebooks, comic. We do it all. We do podcasts, we do Patreon, I do, blogs. We a one-stop shop over this motherfucker. So thank all of you brothers. I got a very talented, slew of people. Tony Maceo, he's much brighter than me in a lot of things. LAR Movement, much brighter than me in a lot of things. Thank you niggas for being smarter than me because you make me look like I'm actually some fucking body, but it's really you niggas with all the motherfucking knowledge. So thank you for letting me bubble off of your smart ass. Appreciate you. And we'll see you tomorrow. I think we want to talk about tomorrow. This dude made a comment. He's married to like a white woman and he talked about black culture. What's this guy's name? It's like trending right now.
It's trending. What happened?
This guy's talking about like how like coonish black dance culture is or whatever, but I think black women are mad at him because he has a white woman.
I don't know anything about that.
Dude,
is it on YouTube?
It ain't the Donald Glover thing, is it?
No, it's something else. It's like it just happened like a few days ago. Like this dude made this viral video talking bad about black culture. But he's a black dude. Let me look at new possibilities because he always weighs in on shit like this.
I know nothing about it. Never heard of it.
Nope. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, Childish Gambinos. This is America.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Okay.
Donald Glover.
Is this dude
Thomas
to a white chick?
That's Lando Calrissian from, you know.
See, I gotta get caught up. This dude's married to a white girl, right?
I don't think he's married. His girlfriend looks like she white, but I can't really tell. She does look white.
That's a good topic, man, because I feel I got some mixed opinions about. So tomorrow we'll talk about that for a minute. For those of you who want to come back, I know ABA you have a show tomorrow, but
Wednesday.
Wait, what's today?
Today's Monday.
Oh no, it's Tuesday here in Poland. Okay. I'm drunk as fuck. So we'll do that show tomorrow. If you guys want to come back, just let me know. This Childish game, I'll research it. We'll talk about it. Anything else anybody got to say besides autism?
Slap a girl in the butt.
Boy, hold on. I got caught. Doug, I'm gonna call you. Not. Give me a few hours. I'll call you niggas, but I can't. ABI, I will call you. I got your number, ABI. Don't worry about nothing. But I can't. All ABI gonna do is this when I'm talking to him. He ain't gonna say that. He said, that's how he laugh and shit. Brazil was awesome. That's all I gotta say. Peace, niggas. Anything else? Somebody gotta say anything else?
I'm done. I'm out. Peace.